Okay, hey everybody, welcome to the 2025, hard to say those numbers still with the zeros in there, vendor showcase for the fall. We're excited for our program today. We've spent some time doing some planning and some projects, so we're really happy. I don't have any of the graphics or any of the controls, so it's going to be Todd and Cindy that are doing all the magic behind whatever happens back there. And we're going to go on. So we have about is it 3 hours, I think, program here for you. And we're going to try to keep it crisp and moving on time. We have software to help us try to control all that. So yay. What we're going to do first here is we're going to have everybody jump on and do quick introductions. And the order that we're going to do it in is basically the order that we're going to use for our present. I don't see my bald spot so often. Camera's high now. It's throwing me off. It's a glare. Anyway, we're going to be in the order that we talk right now is going to be the order that we're presenting. So up first is Lyle and Mike.
I'm on. Okay. Welcome. Glad to see you. Welcome to Traverse City. We're up in northern Michigan. I'm Lyle Jamieson, and chances are you know me and you've heard my introductions before, so I don't need to get into that. Been turning, teaching, and selling tools for decades from the 1980s. So enough of that. I want to introduce Mike. Mike is my stepson, and he has been working with me full-time for close to 5 years now, more than 5 years, I guess. Who knows when time flies when you're having fun. But anyway, he's become a very good turner, a very good teacher, and is taking care of all of my tools now. He's doing all my shipping and ordering and everything. And so it gives Dory and I time to get out and go on cruises and trips. We just got back from one last Tuesday. So my minute is up, but Mike's going to be the one doing most of the heavy lifting for me.
All right. Thanks, Lyle. And thank you, everybody, for joining us here today on Vendor Showcase. We're going to have a lot of fun today. My name's Tod Raines. My wife, Shelly, and I live in Allen, Texas, and run the wood turning tool store out of our home. We sell all kinds of tools across the country, Canada, and Australia and UK. I do have a customer in Philippines that I ship to. So, but if you're interested in what we do here, please check out woodturningtoolstore.com. I've been turning since 2000, end of 2000, I guess. And the first thing I turned, I think, was a couple of spindles for a corner, cherry corner hutch. And that was the end of my flat work. I think from then on, the next 25 years was hobby wood turning. So that's it for me. Thanks very much, folks. We'll see you soon.
Okay, everybody, I'm Joe Fleming from airbrushingwood.com. I live in San Diego, California. And if you hear noise, we're finally getting rain here in San Diego, and it's pouring right now. Anyway, I hear the noise, and it was supposed to start on Thursday, and it didn't really start until like right now. Anyway, I'm an airbrush guy. I'm a wood turner who paints. I'm not a painter. So I always have to remind people of that. And I do sell Grex airbrush products and Createx paint. I also sell some saber-tooth carving discs that I use on the Grex. They call it a grinder. I call it a carving tool. So I have those things available. And airbrushingwood.com is my website. You can find all the information about the products and things there. And we're going to be putting up in the chat all of the links to specials and things like that throughout the show, so you'll be able to pick up what I'm having to offer there. We'll pass it off to Steve.
I'm Steve Worcester with turningwood.com, based in Plano, Texas. I've been around for 26 years this year. Specialize in abrasives for makers, both flat stuff and round stuff, and primarily Mirka products from Finland. Been doing demonstrating turning at pretty much all levels for many years. And we're going to, well, I always say we, even though there's really only me and my wife, but going to demonstrate some sanding today, which is one of our primary things, and talk about the specials we have coming up. We're also a robust lathe dealer. And by the way, welcome to Joe Fleming. I understand you're a robust dealer now too.
I am.
Did you get the jacket in the mail and the welcome dealer kit and all that stuff?
No.
Yeah, none of us. And I'm also a jokester, but you know,
Did you get your Corvette yet?
Yeah.
Oh, you have to sell one before you go to those.
Well, okay. Now it's up for me. I'm Cindy Drozda, and I live in Erie, Colorado with my good friend Carter. What I do is I make and sell the tools that I use on my website and in person at Rocky Mountain and SWAT symposiums. I also do a live free tool talk session every other Friday where I talk about sharpening and using the tools I use, and occasionally other strange stuff like last Friday. But what I most like to do is live wood turning classes over Zoom, where I show in detail the techniques and process for making a project. And well, that is me. So let's get on to, I think Joe's up next.
Yeah. So today's show, we're going to be doing all of our demonstrations and things like we normally do. So you'll see a lot of different stuff that's going on. Today's, we're going to do charity auctions like we've done in the past. And we have a few items we're going to show you here in just a moment. We'll flip through it all. And it's for the San Diego Humane Society is the charity that we're supporting today. A little bit about them, and you can see that in the I think it's on the information, but it's they're a huge organization here in San Diego. They actually have, I think it's 3 or 4 regional within San Diego different kennels that they support. They do a lot of really good. They also adopt pets from other areas of the country that are in need. Like we've always taken pets, like from when there's a hurricane in the Texas area, we'll take some of those pets. So what you're seeing here are the items that we have up for auction. So I'm going to write. I worked on 2. This one here is with Todd, and this one here is with Lyle. My high-tech graphics, I'll just talk real quick on mine. Everybody else can say theirs. So this is a little wooden box. Todd did this in one of his sharing sessions over a couple times. So it's I'm going to call it a 1 1/4 inch or so tall box. Call that maybe 30 millimeters if you're into metric. It's about 4.5 inches in diameter. And Todd did the inside here. He did a stencil and painted that. And then this is a figured maple, not great figure, but a little bit of figure in there, maple leaf that I carved that goes on top. And I did all the airbrushing on that. And then with Lyle, Lyle turned this very nice little pot here that is out of cherry burl. So there's some really beautiful burl figure there. And then I carved a smaller lid kind of in the same style as this and painted it also out of that same figured maple. That it's an inset lid. They're both designed to be one hand on and off. You don't have to, it's not a suction lid. So anyway, you can get an idea of 2 items.
This is a collaboration between me, Cindy Drozda, Tod Raines, and Emma Cook. When Emma was in my shop in June on her way to AAW. So she was there and we did live. Emma did the top part with her embellishment. And of course, she nicely did it to match my fingernails. And meantime, Todd in Allen, Texas, turned the lid for the platter that Emma was making. I finished it up, fit the lid a little better, did the bowl, and did let's show it the right side up, did the bottom. So this is a 3-way, Tod Raines, Cindy Drozda, Emma Cook.
Okay, I've got 1 minute here, and Mike's going to take the other minute. So this is another cherry burl piece from that exact same tree that I did for Joe, only I'm doing one just for me because I'm going to have to hollow this in the demo. So I made a different lid for it that had the inscribed cherries on it because it's a cherry burl, and you're going to see me hollow it. So Mike's got a piece also then this will be in the auction as well as Joe and my collaborative piece.
Osage orange bowl. I turned 2 years ago. It's been on my shop, and for some reason I've just held on to it. Made a decision to call it the Veterans Bowl. I put a 1942 penny, I believe, in it, which were made from steel. And I did the UV epoxy last night, so I still have a little bit of polishing and finish work to do on it. But it's got a penny, a 1 cent penny, so it's at least worth a penny. Thank you.
So I turned, these are of historical significance, at least in Texas. So in 2023, I believe it was, there was a tree that went down locally to us. It was a bur oak. It was dated to be at least 400 years old. And I was fortunate enough to get some wood, as did Todd. And these were 2 small bur oak bowls from the quadricentennial.
Okay, so those are the things that we have in our auction. The way the auction is going to work is there is what you're going to do is you're going to put the person's name who you're bidding on, item.
Here's the names of everything, and we're going to start bidding at $50.
We're going to start at $50, and the bid increments are $5. So if somebody bids 55, will be the next bid on all of them. The next bid after that would be 60 or higher, but do it in increments of 5, if you would, please. So here's the way you'll write those. So the Todd Joe one is this one. The tree box, Steve just, it's not a tree box. Actually, it's the oak bowl. Oh, I'm reading it wrong. The oak bowl's from Steve. The Lyle Joe piece is this one here. It's the small pot with a leaf lid on it. Lyle's cherry box that he's going to turn in a little bit. Mike has his veteran bowl, and then the 3-way collaboration with Cindy, Todd, and Emma platter. And so those are all the starting bids, and bidding is open now. So if you want to start throwing those into the comments, we're going to collect that information during the show, and at the end we'll do a wrap up on that. So feel free to start bidding whenever you want. Bid often and bid high. Let's support the Humane Society. They do great work, and it's where we got our little puppy, Baxter. He's a mix of about 18 different things. We did a wisdom panel on him. So anyway, with that, I think we're ready to start digging into the show. So we're going to switch now to Lyle, and Lyle, you're up to do your turning.
Wonderful. Hello again. I'm going to hollow the little base of the bowl that was going to go in the auction, and so if you can get the overhead here, I guess we'll see that first. So this is the OG shape that originally Joe had to his lid, and so I've made a lid for it with also the OG shape. So we're kind of continuing that idea. I've mounted it here with the glue block. Again, I don't use chucks. Chucks are not a strong way to hang on to wood. I can do things faster, bigger, stronger, easier, safer without a chuck, so I never use a chuck. So I've got a glue block on here. We don't need to get into that. A lot of these techniques that I'm using are in my DVD download and can be seen on YouTube too in segments. So let's get into hollowing. Let's put the hollowing system up. So Mike is going to talk about all of the tools in the tool section, and this is the demo section. So I'm just going to kind of set it up and demo it. One of the important parts of the setup is a little trick here of using wax, just a cheap candle, not paraffin, not beeswax because it's sticky, but just a cheap wax paraffin. And I'm going to put this on the tool rest, the handle, everything. So we're floating on a little thin layer of wax. Why is this important? This is important for fingertip control. It makes everything move 10 times easier, really makes a huge difference. Okay, so everything's captured and stable, so I can't get a catch, and everything is set in the place that I need to work it with. So I'm using the carbide cutter. The carbide cutter is a little more efficient. It's slicing the fibers cleanly instead of scraping, and leaves a better surface behind. Okay, why do I want a better surface behind? When we're doing especially lidded box and you can see down in there because you got a big mouth opening, you're going to be able to see down in there. You're going to have to stick your fingers down in there and you're going to have to sand the bottom. Well, I want the most efficient, cleanest cut that I can possibly make. And that's why I want to see this end, if I can see this end, Mike. So first of all, we set this up with my threaded rod tool rest so that I have small increments to move in. I set it so it's cutting just a hair above the center line, never below center, on the center line or slightly above. All right, so this has a bevel support. This has bevel support right at 12 o'clock, right at the tip, there's a bevel. If I push on that, nothing happens, won't cut, right? There's bevel support there. So I'm going to swing my handle over here, if you can see the handle moving, until I have a cut going. So I'm going to have no cut here with the bevel. I'm going to swing my handle around a little bit, just wiggle it until my bevel's lined up. Okay, now the bevel's lined up with that surface. I'm going to go in the hole and make a cut across, and let me show you that we're making shavings instead of sawdust. Okay, and we're slicing instead of scraping. Well, that's my cleanup cut. There's 3 cuts that we can do with the carbide cutter, and that's the cleanup cut or the finish cut. And the surface left behind is so clean. If we can get a good picture of it here. Is this going to help or not? Maybe not. No, I need the surface. There we go. If you can see the polish on here, this looks like it's already sanded to 6. So that's a little bit too bright. Looks like it's sanded already 400 degree. Okay. In fact, I'm going to sand a little bit. Where's my sanding? Lost my sandpaper. I'm going to sand it just a little bit with 400 and see if you can see any difference. There we go. See the polish there? That's almost directly right off of the tool. That is so sweet when you've got to get inside and make an efficient cut across the bottom of your bowl or lidded box. So the carbide has a huge advantage there of leaving a better finish left behind. Okay, so that's the hog and off cut, or that's the finish cut. Let's get into hog and off. When I'm using the cutter, there's a big mock-up of it here. When I'm using the cutter, again, 12 o'clock right at the tip is bevel support, right? As we get around here, we need a bigger and bigger cut. We can have a cut from 12 o'clock to, 7, 6, 9, 8, 7, whatever. We can have quite a wide shaving here and hog off a bunch of wood at a time. And it can be very, very efficient with this little one with the, okay, it doesn't get any harder than this. I forgot to mention this. This is dry wood, dry cherry burl. So the burl has grain going every which way. It's not like the true grain of a regular tree grain orientation. It's got grain going every which way. And so that's what makes this so hard to clean up and make a good surface with. And at the same time, this is dry. So it takes very, very sharp tools and efficient cuts to make very big cuts. Let's see how big of a cut I can make here. It's making a lot of noise, but I'm all right. So I can get a lot of wood in a hurry. So my first cuts are just to make a cylinder. While I make that internal cylinder, the shavings just fall out. See how deep I need to go here. Not that far. Okay. Okay, so now we've made a cylinder in here that let the shavings roll out. And now we're going to start to measure this wall and get the measuring done. And with a vessel this small, I'm only, about 3 inches tall here. And with the tool rest, I'm probably only dangling off the tool rest maybe 4 inches. Well, I could probably, or a lot of people could probably do this by hand if they really understand the rules and not get a catch in there. But the measuring that I'm going to do with the laser is a huge advantage to have the captured system. And so that's what we're going to do now is measure with the laser and show you how that works. So I'm going to hang in there a second. I'm going to move the camera so that you can see it. And then all right. Got to get the laser's just held up on a bar that moves with the boring bar, so they both move together. We're going to put the laser on. So that there's a gap. It's all about the gap. When we use the laser, it's all about the gap. Can we see the laser? I'm going to shut some of the lights off so the laser will shine better. I don't know where my black one is. Oh, well. All right. So we're going to set up the laser up so that there's a gap. The long line is a tangent of where I'm going to work. I'm going to work right here, kind of parallel to the bed of the lathe. So that line is parallel to the bed of the lathe. The arrow line is where I'm going to have to set the laser so that the gap is 90 degrees through the wall. So you see, I'm going to move this just easily. Any place I want to move it in just a heartbeat, I can put it right there. And I'm going to make this, about a 3/16 thick. Okay. All right. Now this aid is going to help me make sure that that gap is 90 degrees through the wall. If the gap is 90 degrees through the wall, we're going to make an accurate reading. If the gap is crooked to the wall, then it's not going to give us a true reading. So that gap has to be 90 degrees through the wall, and that card helps us do that. So we can go 90 degrees through the wall here, we can go here, we can go down in the bottom and get 90 degrees through the wall when we get through the bottom. So there's times when you have to move the laser to keep that perpendicularity, keep the gap 90 degrees through the wall. All right. So let's get in there now. And while we're working in the middle of it, the laser's a dot, right? And when we let me get rid of some of the waste wood out from behind first. All right, so now we're going to come in here and you see how the laser gets elongated. It's no longer a dot, it's an oval. And now what happens when the laser disappears and shines down here on my hand? When the laser disappears, the gaps left behind tells me when to stop turning, right? So now I just watch the laser drop off. Stop. 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 If I can get a little, just get some of that backwood away a little bit. Make the laser disappear. Stop. 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 Okay, now I'm in there, a half inch or so. So I'm gonna, if you can zoom out just a little bit to capture my hand, Mike. Move it over a little bit towards the tailstock. I don't need this. We got to, there we go. Get my hand. Beautiful. All right. So now I'm just with my fingertips. That's all I've been doing anyway. I'm going to come back and forth across that surface. And here's a little hiss. I'm getting a little vibration there because it's so thin already. Just a little hiss of a shaving to clean up the tool marks with. Okay. And now what am I cleaning the tool marks up with? If we look at the tool again, I'm all the way over here on the 9 o'clock side, and that 9 o'clock side now is tilted down, so this acts like a negative rake scraper. And so the surface inside there is very, very clean. And because I have the wax and my fingertip control, I can go back and forth and clean up the tool marks. So let's stop a second, blow this out, get my flashlight. Thank you. Oh, that is so cool. That looks like, again, it looks like it's sanded to 400 grit already. It's just perfect. There's no tool marks or anything in there. I don't know if you can see that very well from that angle, but I guess, trust me, it's really nice. All right, now let's pretend for a second that it wasn't nice, that I had a tool mark in there. And the laser's gone. I don't have any visual feed on it, but I can feel, I can stick it in here and I go back and forth, and I can feel a little ba-bump, ba-bump, ba-bump of a tool mark. Okay, get a little muscle memory. It's all just fingertips here. I'm not hanging on to the other end of the handle at all. It's just easy peasy. All right, now turn the lathe on, and you sweep back and forth and listen for the hiss. And the hiss gets a little bit louder where the thick spot is. And we can go back and forth and clean up any little tool marks that we have. So with a little patience, you can make that internal surface really, really clean. All right, let's go on and hog off some more. Get down into the bottom here. So you really have already now the essence of this. That's Carbide Cutter 101 class is almost over here. It's about all there is to it. Set the gap, measure the wall, clean up the tool marks. That's about all that is. So we're going to go back in here. Now I'm going to start measuring. I hogged that stuff off. Let me start measuring again. Make the laser disappear. Stop. Stop. Stop, stop, stop. Okay, now I'm going to clean up the tool marks. Nice hiss of a cut there. Beautiful. Let me stop and check. Now this is an important thing I'm going to say here. Take notes. When you make a thin wall here, and you clean it up and you go down through another stage, don't go back. Okay, so I'm never going back out here to the tip again. I got a little bump right in the middle. I can feel it in there, the little transition mark from when I started and when I started around the curve a little bit. So I'm going to go back in and clean up that little tool mark. Oh, beautiful. That didn't take much at all. Now I've got 2 stages done. Don't go, did I say that? Don't go back. Make sure that this is perfect before you move on to your next stage. Let me double check, make sure I got that tool mark out of there. I'm not going to finish this all perfectly here because it takes patience and time. Oh yeah, that's really nice. That transition between the straight side and the curved bottom. All right. So one of the important parts, let me just quickly move down to the bottom. Again, I'm doing the hog and off cut, and I have a hole drilled in there. The hole is not a depth gauge. So I'm not going to worry about getting all of this nice and measured right now, but I want to show you what happens in the bottom. When we're in the bottom, it's so cool. All right. So we're going to do two things. We're going to pretend now the sidewall is all measured. It's all measured all the way down to here. It's perfectly cleaned up and measured. All right. When that sidewall is measured and the drill hole is gone, I need to do two things. First thing I'm going to do is set the laser right at the tip. No gap. Okay. Now, I need to get dead on the center line. When I'm on the center line, perfectly in the middle, the cutter will cut. If I'm high, it's going to fight me. If I'm low, it'll leave a little tit in the middle that never gets touched. So I have to now adjust the height of my cutter. Remember when I first set it up, I set it up a little bit high. Okay, now I need to adjust it dead on the center. So how am I going to do that? I'm going to scratch a line across the bottom. Okay, so the flashlight in there. As predicted, I'm high. Okay. Now, this is where this threaded rod tool rests. I can't see it too well, but there's a threaded rod tool rest. We're good. And I know I have to go up and I have to go down. So I want to move the tool rest down, and it looks like to me about 1/8 of an inch, and these threads are about 1.125. So I want to lower this about 1 full revolution. That'll give me about 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to lock it down again and scratch another line in there. All right, that looks close. That looks like as good as I can get by that eye. And once we get going in it, we can feel it immediately. If it's not on the center line, it'll start to fight us, and it'll start bouncing around. So let's see if we're on the center line. Oh, yeah, I think it's my lucky day. I should go to the casino right on the center line. It's working. It melts away like butter. In fact, you have to be careful because the wood will go away so fast. You'll be surprised, and you'll be deeper than you want to be. All right. So right now, where's my cutter? I don't know if we can make a pencil line there that you can see. See the pencil line? You can't see it. Okay, we got to be zoomed way in, but you see where my cutter is? Yeah, there we go. See where my cutter is just on this side of the laser. And my depth is going to be down about here. So I've got maybe a fat 1/4 inch, almost about a 1/4 inch to go here before I have the inside wall of the bottom the same as the outside wall. So let's cut a little bit in there. And we're going to go back and forth across. Yeah, we can leave the top one on for a second here. We'll go back and forth across there. You hear it? I go over to the place on the right-hand side where the wood's going up. It doesn't cut. They're making no sound. Then I come across, starts a little hiss. Okay. I'm not pushing towards the headstock. I'm sweeping back and forth across there. Okay. So now, what did I make? 4 or 5 cuts in there, little things going across there. So now we can see I'm already down here. Right? My pencil's not writing on there very well. You see the pencil line? Yeah, there we go. So I can watch how deep I am in there, exactly know how thick that wall in the bottom is, and I've made this shape far enough down there so I can extrapolate that. And I know I'm going to leave the bottom. It's a lidded box, so I want to leave the bottom with a fairly large footprint, not go down to a small, tiny foot. So that's going to be a perfect spot for my depth. All right. So now let's watch what happens on here. There's my depth of where I'm at. And I go boop, boop, up here to where I left off. So if you watch it, it does this, doesn't it? Good. We're good. Okay. All right. So all I need to do, this is finished. The wall thickness that I want in the bottom. And this is already done. I've measured that previously. Pretend I did. I didn't go down there for you, but I would have done it in real life. This outside wall would have been done. All right. So now all I do is meld it in. Now the pencil line is going to go away, so we won't be able to watch the pencil. But this is so huge when I can watch the laser. See the bump? All right. And go over here. All I need to do now is get rid of that bump. And I'm going to transition into that. A nice rounded shape. So now watch the laser, cross the bottom, and up the bottom, up the side. Cross the bottom, and up the side. So now that makes that bottom perfectly clean, and with the carbide cutter, it looks like it's sanded to 400 grit already. So that makes the whole thing easy. I didn't even have to move the swivel assembly with a straight thing like this, but the swivel is an important feature here too that can undercut shoulders and things. But the carbide cutter is a huge advantage, and we're done. I think I'm up into my 25 minutes, right?
Yeah,
okay.
All done, Lyle.
Thank you.
You bet, you bet. So Lyle will be back in the second half, talking more about his tools and stuff like that. And thanks again. So thank everybody for being here again. So behind me is my auction piece that Joe and I did together. I did the box, Joe did the lid. So Cindy's going to post up a list of the auction items and what the current bid is. There we are. Let me get big here. So our tree box is at $100 now. Steve's oak bowls are at $60. Lyle and Joe's leaf box is $100. Lyle's cherry box he's just working on is $50. Mike's veteran bowls at $60, and the Cindy, Todd, and Emma platters at $200. So great start to the auction. Thanks so much for bidding, and keep on bidding. It's all going to a great cause, the San Diego Humane Society. We do different charities every event, and so this is one of Joe's close to home. So my time here is going to be talking about tools. It's what I sell, and hopefully you can bear with me and do that. So I do have a special this weekend, and it's just for you folks here that are in this event right now. So it's not published anywhere else. You do have to put that code in. That is for this weekend only, up until Sunday at midnight. So I wanted to make something special for this event and you guys attending here. So thanks very much for doing that. So we are going to take a look at, I went too far, my webpage here. There we go. And I found this to be the easiest way to kind of do things for me at this point. And what I want to do is just kind of show a few things of what we carry and talk a little bit about one in particular. I'm going to go to the brand section. So Axminster Wood Turning, I've been an Axminster dealer now for about 6 months, maybe 7 months, something like that. And it has been a fantastic addition to our store. I've been using their chucks for 5 years now, and so I'm happy to represent them. Axminster has gone through a bit of a change lately. So if you go onto the Axminster site directly as a U.S. customer, you're not going to be able to get products shipped directly from Axminster anymore to the U.S. So all the dealers in the local region, U.S. for us, will be serving U.S. customers. So if you need an Axminster product, you're going to have to come to one of us. That's kind of one of the changes that we've been through. There's some other changes. They've had to move warehouses. So my back order is getting longer, and I appreciate everybody's patience. I've actually been have one customer since SWAT is waiting, so it's August, and I think it's going to be December before I get my product, which is not good, but they're working feverishly to get things done. So, but what I've done, and I did this when I started carrying Axminster, I want to show a little bit off, is under the Axminster brand, we've got these categories for chucks. Let me just click into the chucks section. We've got a list of all the chucks here, and if you click on each one of these categories at the top, it'll take you to the specific parts and pieces for that chuck, including jaws. So if we look at the GK88, everything here is related to GK88, a long key and a short key, all the jaws for the GK88 and stuff, and the back plates, and all the jaws that fit it. So that is categorized that way. So if you need to kind of do that and look at the different categories, you can do that. If I go back once more, so there's first of all, there's GK88, the GK100, the SK100, and the SK114. So the products are kind of categorized that way. You can learn more about what the different designations mean, but basically the number is the diameter of the chuck in millimeters. So 88 millimeter, 100 millimeter, 114 millimeter. So a 3.5 inch, a 4 inch, and a 4.5 inch, or 4.25 inch chuck. Let me go back to the other page. This is kind of an exciting one. So the jaws page. If you look here, you've got a few things to look at. One is this big compatibility chart below here. It tells you what chuck is compatible with which jaw. And that is on the page, but it's also downloadable by this link. If you click on that link, you can download that PDF. But this is a compatibility checker or comparison table. Not a compatibility checker, but a comparison table. This is a kind of handy little thing. So if you want to compare GK88 jaws, let's go down to the dovetail jaws, because that's the most common one. So if I'm looking at type A jaws versus type A+, if I click A+ over here, now I can look at the diameter of them separately. So the externals are the same, but the internals are different. And the A has a dovetail on the internal spigot area. So this one is just a straight spigot. So this kind of gives you an idea of what chuck you may need for your project. I do it in millimeters because that's the way Axminster does it. And for me, it's easier to divide in half if I'm looking at stuff. And it also works. It's one of the reasons why I also made my little radius gauge in millimeters so that it's a bit compatible that way. So, but if we look at other chucks, so let's look at B-type jaws. Those are small. What other jaws are small? C-type are a bit different. Not really a true dovetail. It's a bird's beak. This is sort of the standard jaw. That bird's beak is there to hold the screw chuck accessory. So you can take a look at those. The C jaws for the 100 chuck versus the 114 are slightly different. All the dimensions on the things are the same, but this length out here is longer on the SK114. So I'll show that. And as a matter of fact, if anybody has questions about any product that I'm showing, let me know in the comments, and we'll answer those either now or during the break and stuff like that. So this is a great thing. So there's comparison tables for all of them, the gripper dimensions. So the colossal gripper jaws versus the hollow-form jaws. What's the difference? Or the deep grip jaws versus the hollow-form jaws. So you can kind of get a good idea of what they're at. Here's the O'Donnell jaws and the cylinder jaws. So if we look at the O'Donnell 25 millimeter and the cylinder 25 millimeter, you can kind of get a comparison of what they're looking at. So this is a great little tool. I hope I've shown it off a little bit more. It's kind of hard to get to other than, you can go shop, lathe accessories, chuck jaws, and you get to this page. So, and from here you can scroll down and view all the chuck jaws or use the tools to find what you're looking for. So that's one thing, about Axminster products that I've set up. Of course, all of the other accessories for Axminster are there. The accessories of the jaw plates, the back plates, the eccentric chuck, which I'm hoping to get. If you were on my live stream yesterday, you saw a little bit of a jig that I want to use with that tool. And then all the live and drive centers that we carry. We don't carry 100% of everything, but if there's something we don't carry and you want us to, shoot me an email and I'll show. Let's see. There's a
Question for you about
here.
the jaws.
Thank you. Can you show the interchangeable jaw tips you showed yesterday? Oh yeah. So in fact, on my desk here, excuse the keyboard, is the O'Donnell jaws, and they have these little accessory jaws. This is the 3-in-1 kit. So if I undo this, by the way, this is the piece of wood I'm going to be turning in my demo. Nice little piece of big leaf maple. And I'll be using different tools. So if you have a tool you want me to show how to hollow this guy out with, let me know. But as you see, there's a 50 millimeter jaw here. There is a 38 millimeter, a 38 millimeter insert here, or a 25 millimeter insert here. And those just lock in with a screw right through that entry hole, and we can screw in the 35 millimeter, 38 millimeter jaw there. And we do all four and tighten them up. And now we've got a jaw set that's much smaller than the 50. And we can swap that out, go down to 25 millimeter. And this is the 3-in-1 O'Donnell set. So now you got a much smaller dovetail circumference here, 25 millimeters. So that's the 3-in-1 set. Martin, thanks for the question. I know you asked that yesterday. Hopefully this gives you a bit. Perfect. More questions, please bring them up. Can Axminster jaws fit other brands of chucks like Nova? Honestly, I don't know. I don't know for sure. I don't have I have a Nova G3, but I don't think they fit. I think their thread pitch and stuff is different. And for me, it would be difficult to kind of figure that out. So I can't say it will. So you'd have to try it yourself. But I always recommend using the jaws that come with the manufacturer. One thing I will say is the jaws can go on different chucks. So you can put GK88 jaws on a 100. You can put a 100 jaws on a 114. You just can't go backwards in that order. So last question. The eccentric insert requires what jaw size? I think it's the standard C jaws. I don't have one in my hand. I had some in stock and I sold them all. So that's a good question, and I hope to answer that shortly. So that's my time. Got any more questions? Post them in the chat. Everybody bid often for the auction, and I think up next is Joe.
There we go. Turn the microphone on. So what I'm going to do, I've got my long section here. I'm going to do a little bit of spraying to give you an idea of how I painted the leaf. But I'm going to do a couple little commercials here first. I'm going to set that aside. This is the inside of both of the lids from the two pieces. And what, so Todd was talking about the Axminster chuck. I happen to have a couple of them. I have the SK 414, and I used 4-inch jaws, I think is the size, and expanded into here to hold that. And then on this piece here, I used those O'Donnell jaws. I'm sorry, I used the SK 100 on this with the 4-inch jaws. On this one, I have an SK 414 with the O'Donnells, and I used the little tiny ones. I think Todd said they're 25 millimeters, and expanded in there to hold those while I did my carving. I used a carving stand standing at the lathe or sitting at the lathe, and I was able to position this at whatever angles I needed, rotate it around, and I did this with both hand carving and power carving. Mostly hand carving. The outer edges over here were hand some hand carving and some power carving. I did both. Anyway, I just wanted you to see that. So let's talk about the painting. When I was trying to figure out how to paint what color this leaf would be, it would be really easy to say, oh, I need red paint for the red, and I need yellow paint for the yellow. And away I go. Well, what I did is I pulled up on this. So I have a confession to make. I was up half the night doing the painting on these things. Long story, but I went to bed about 3 a.m. this morning, Pacific time in San Diego. I pulled up a picture like this and had it on the screen in front of me. And what I did is I picked out a leaf that I liked. Now, I didn't use this picture, but the leaf I found that I really liked the look of was one that it was in the process of turning. So if you know anything about how leaves turn, the colors that the leaf turns when it's finally done turning, that's actually the color of the leaf. In botany sense, what's happening is the leaf is full of chlorophyll, which makes it green. And as the chlorophyll leaves the tree in the fall, the real color of the leaf is revealed. And since the chlorophyll is going out this way, it starts by going yellow because that's starting to take the green out of there. And then eventually the red fills in, depending on the leaf and on the tree. So maple leaves, you get a lot. There's some different trees. Some of them, when they're all done, they're yellow. Some of them, when they're all done, they're reds, and then various colors in between. So I kind of grabbed a picture that I liked where the color was in between. And that's the color scheme that I used on both of these a little bit. Now, I made this one a little bit darker, and I made this one a little bit lighter because I like the different shades. And like I said, I just had a picture on the screen. I did a Google search on autumn maple leaves, and then looked at images and found hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pictures. Found a couple I liked. I actually found a picture that had many leaves on it, and that's what I did. So this is not the picture I used, but I'm going to talk to this because it's in front of you here, and it's easy to do that. So what I did is I looked at a color and I said, oh, let's say I like this red one here. So it's kind of a, I'm going to get my pencil out. If you look at it, there's a little bit of lightness, light red. I'm going to call it light, relatively speaking, in this area and in this area, and it's really dark right here on the node. And you can see the veins have still a little bit of yellow in them. That's why they look lighter. But it gives you an idea of the changing. Here's one that had some green in it that's still. And so what if I want to make something match? I'm just going to go draw on here that area of red. So a darker red. Now, as a guy that sells paint, I would be happy for you to buy all the different colors that I have. So I want to mention that real quick. I mentioned that I sell Createx paint, and this is what's called the color wheel set. So if you bought a starter kit from me, you're going to get this. It has 16 bottles of paint in there, plus some reducer and some clear base. The clear base you can use as a sealer. When I mask, when I painted the lid underneath here, what I did was I put tape around the rim all the way around. Then I sprayed the clear base around it. Think of it like clear paint. What that does is that sealed the edge of the tape to the wood so that no paint would penetrate up underneath there, except for where I had a gap in the tape. That's what happens when you're doing it at 2:30 in the morning. So I have to sand that out and fix that. But all the edges were real crisp in here all the way around, and it came out really nice. So that's all in a kit like this. There's another set of paint that I have that has 9 more colors for the complete set. And the colors from Createx are called illustration colors. So Createx illustration colors, they're excellent for airbrushing. All of Createx's paints are spray paint. That's all they sell. And they have several different product lines. I have a little bit of everything here, but this is what I sell. This is really easy to use. You could use it straight out of the bottle. I tend to use a little bit of the reducer, which is one of these bottles, right? It's actually this bottle here, to make the paint a little bit runnier. But this paint is just excellent paint. I really, really like it. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that that's the paint. So I sell a 6-pack of primaries. I sell a 6-pack of secondaries. Both of those include reducer in them. And I sell the color wheel set you just saw, and then I have the add-on set. So if you're ever interested. So back to what we're painting here. So I wanted to get a darker red. So the way you can do that is I can say, actually, I'm going to switch to Lyle's because it's even darker and it'll be easier to illustrate what I'm trying to do. And I'm going to do this actually without airbrushing. So there's a drop of the red, and I'm just going to take a little brush and spread it out. And you can see that red is pretty red. And it's if you look at colors, most of the time paint will rarely be straight up on a color wheel red. So if I look at the red on this color wheel here, now that's a little swatch, and I look at that red, to my eye, this red here is tilted. So red will either tilt a little bit toward the blue or a little bit toward the orange. And what's going on here is that's a tiny bit to the blue, but I want the yellow in there. So if I were to put a dab of yellow on here, and I don't need that much because it's pretty thin already. I'm going to touch the brush with a little bit of yellow. And now you can see that it started going maybe a little bit more. It's much more orange on my camera than you can see online, but it's starting to tip toward the orange side, but it's still way too light. So how do you get it to be darker? Where you're going to use, in my case, I'm going to use a little bit of black. Now, this is not going to work at all because it's just way too much black. Black is such a strong color compared to the other ones. It's going to completely take this over. So I'm just barely touched it in there. And I'm squishing that in there. And I'm going to put a tiny bit more red in there. Now, the problem is I'm layering the colors versus blending them. But what I'm getting is by the way, excellent little color wheel. A lot of people have their logos on them, but it's a standard color wheel you can buy on Amazon. I've been trying to find a place where I can just source this and sell it, but I haven't really found any. But the way a color wheel works, 3 primary colors, blue, yellow, red, secondary colors, purple or violet, green, and orange. Orange. And then the tertiary colors are the ones that are in between. So this has 12 colors around there. Of course, there's a complete continuum of color. This just breaks it out into useful chunks. On the other side are the same colors, but on this side, it does a couple things. And I'm only going to talk about, I'm going to zoom this in a little bit. What it does is it tells you if I want the red to be lighter, that's called, I'm going to turn it over like this because that reads the words better. You can see the word. Now it's all kind of fuzzed out here. Here, I got to move over. Trying to stay out of the paint swatch there on the table. There we go. So here's red. It says the pure color red. Then it says tint. For tinting, you add a little bit of white. I'm trying to go darker, and that's called shading. And you add a little bit of black. So that's how you do tinting. And so to go lighter in lighter shades of red or darker with a little bit of black. And you can use a color wheel like this to help you figure out the different. So this will give you, you can just turn the wheel around to get every color in this window to tell you what it looks like. And away you go. That is a very helpful tool. So that helps me visualize what I want. So what I did in the airbrush, and where'd the brush go? I'm going to do a little bit of that right now in this brush. And by the way, I just got done spraying this one last night with black. I actually have not cleaned the brush out. So it's hooked up, but I got all the black sprayed out of there. Let me zoom back a little bit more. So nothing's coming out. So if I put a little bit of red in there, I'm going to put a little bit of reducer in first. So I just put a few drops of the reducer that you can't see it because it's dark. Sorry. I'm going to put a bunch of red on top in there. I don't have the fancy camera gizmos that Cindy and Todd and Lyle have to move my camera in and out. I have a dowel up here on the camera that I can slide the camera back and forth. Anyway, so I put a bunch of red in there. And let me get a paper towel because I'm dripping down the side. Now I'm going to put 1 drop of black. Okay, let me spray that. So you can see that purpley, or tilted to the purple side of red. I'm going to put 1 drop of black in there. So you can see that I dripped the black in there. I'm going to do what's called back flushing, which is I'm going to close up the front end of the brush by putting my finger on it. I'm holding a paper towel. Well, I'm just going to let you see what happens. So what's happening is now the air is being forced up through the front and it's splattering paint all over hell and back. I got to be careful here so I don't get it on the lids, which are off here to the side. But what that does, so now I'm going to cover it up so you can't see the splatters coming out, but you'll see it start leaking through the lid there, right there, that dark spot. So now if I spray that, it was 1 drop of red, 1 drop of black. Look how much darker that got, but it's still purpley. It's still tilted to the blue side. So now what I can do is I can put a little bit of yellow in there. I could also put orange in there, which is red and yellow mixed together. And so I'm going to drop a little bit of yellow in there. Now, red and black are going to be much more strong than the yellow. So I just put about 5 drops in there. I'm going to put my lid back on there. I'm going to do another back flush. And what that's doing is it's stirring the paint. It should start making that be a little more yellow. And now if you look at the color here, it is, because I don't want to say it's yellow, but it's starting to go toward the orange side. And I'm getting pretty doggone close to that Lyle color there. I call it Lyle because it was on the lid that we did. So I'm getting to where I like that. It's a little bit purpley red still, so I want maybe a tad bit more yellow in there. So I just added 3 more drops. And by the way, it's important that when I say 3 drops, you don't need a lot of paint for most of this stuff. You don't have to fill the whole cup up full of paint. And you can see I'm making a mess all over here because it's whatever. So now I'm going to back flush that. Stir that yellow in some more. And now the color should be even more orangish. So now I am really, except for that it's wet, you can see it's getting really, oops, sorry. Let me hide that purple there. It's getting really close to that color there. Maybe it's even approaching the lighter color that I used on Todd's piece here, to give you an idea of how you can do a color match. Now, if you want to have a dead even match, how do you do that? So here's what you would do. You take a piece of paper. In this case, this is just the watercolor cardstock. I just cut 6 holes out a little bit ago and drip some paint on it. I'm going to spray paint one of the holes. So I'm going to come over here on the edge, get the lids out of the way. And what I'm doing is I'm just spraying around the hole. Now, I have a color match card now, and I can take this and hold that over to say, is that match pretty close? And by golly, let me zoom that in a little bit. That is pretty close. That is pretty close. Now, the intensity here isn't quite, I can darken that up a little bit. It's still a little bit light. So I'm going to add a little bit more paint on there just to make the color a little more vibrant. Now it should, and it's wet, so you're going to see it glistening until that dries. But the color is awfully close there. So that's the way you can do a color match. If the color doesn't match what's inside the hole, if I compare it to the yellow, definitely doesn't match. But if I come over here, not bad. Let me find a good bright spot there. You can see that the piece I did for that is a little lighter red. So this is the darker color, closer to what the Lyle color is. So that's a way you can do color matching by using a card like this to make a sample, spray it, and then hold that over a color you're trying to match. So if I were trying to match one of these colors, I could hold it over that hole there and say, well, it's much too intense for that one. But over here on this really dark leaf, it's pretty close. Now, again, I've got the shininess of the paint because it's still wet, so that throws your eye off a little bit, but it gives you an idea. That's a way you can do color matching. So I just wanted to show you that that's how I do color matching a lot of the times. You don't need, technically you only need 5 bottles of paint. You need red, yellow, blue, black, and white. And you can make every color in the rainbow, theoretically. It's a lot of work to do that. So people buy a lot of paint. And I have a whole kit of paint here that I use with, I have all of the illustration colors. That's what I primarily use. They have some other colors in Createx lines, which I don't carry, but I do have. Some of them are called detail colors. This is one of them. That red and this red are actually the same red. They have one, this one here is called Carmine, and it's a little more purpley for what it's worth, but they have a whole line of color. Here's their orange. They call detail orange, and here's the orange in the bottle. It's hard to see there, but the illustration color orange is a little brighter than this orange, which is just a little bit more red. So that's how you can buy colors to get where you want to go more quickly. So that's using a color wheel. So I wanted to kind of talk about that a little bit. The next thing I wanted to hit on, let's see, where are we on time? About 7 minutes. So I want to talk about cleaning an airbrush. So I haven't really done that on a vendor showcase before, I don't believe. So what I have is just a little cup here with paper towel shoved in it. This is my discard. So what I'm doing is I'm spraying out all the excess paint that's in there. I can see a little bit of the blowback. So when the air goes in this cup, the air has to come out, and it's bringing a little bit of paint, but I'm cleaning out the cup. Now, you see me struggling with the lids on my paintbrushes. I purposely dent the cups on mine because I don't want that lid to ever fall off. Now, why do I do that? Because a lot of times when I'm teaching or if I'm at a show, people don't realize that there's paint in there or they don't think about it. And they'll take an airbrush. This has paint in it, by the way. This one has either red, this one has yellow. They'll just lay the brush down like that. And the way the lids come, they're firm, but they're not tight. The lid could fall right off, and then I got paint everywhere. So on all of my personal brushes, I dent the cup very slightly. I put it on an anvil, wrap it in a rag, and just tap it with a hammer, just enough to make it slightly oval, but it makes the lid really snug. So for me, I'm always fighting that when you see me taking them off. This is a little cup of denatured alcohol. You can buy that in almost every state. You can't buy it in California, so I buy it in Arizona when I go visiting family as a cleaner. I do that just to soak the part. So that's the lid. You're seeing the inside of the lid with all that black and red in there. It's dark, but that'll start softening the paint. Acrylic paint, which is what we're spraying here, is water. It's a water-based paint, but it's waterproof. It's plastic. Acrylic is plastic. And once it dries, it is waterproof. You can't take it off with water. You have to use a solvent. The best stuff to use, honestly, is airbrush cleaner. And there's a lot of brands. Grex sells airbrush cleaner. Createx sells airbrush cleaner. I've been selling Grex for a number of years, but they quit selling the paint. They still carry the cleaner, and because they make this themselves. And I'm going to actually be switching away from Grex cleaner and going to the Createx. It's easier to order that way for me.
5 minutes, Joe, and you have a question.
Oh, okay. What's the question?
Will having the paint freeze during shipping destroy the paint, or will it be okay when thawed?
Createx actually says they put a hold. Well, I don't want to say they put a hold, but they caution shipping their paint in the cold. So yeah, you have to be careful. So if you're getting it from me, it's coming from San Diego, so it starts warm. And depending on where you are, John, we just have to pay attention and look at the weather. I usually ship next priority mail, so it'd get there anywhere in the U.S. easily within 4 days, usually 3. So if you think you've got a clear weather path between here and there, we can plan that shipment if you're interested. But yeah, it's something to be concerned about. Createx warns that. In fact, they even make a big deal about shipping it to me. My paint actually comes from Portland, and I can't say it never freezes there, but they're always nervous about it. So anyway, so here's the cup. It's dirty. The Grex brushes, they disassemble really simply. So there's the cup off. I'm going to soak that. You can see it's dark in there. I take the needle cover off. That's magnetic. I drop that in there. This is the nozzle cover I'm unscrewing on the front. That's off. And I'm going to zoom in here. And you can see now the needle and the nozzle sticking there. So before I take the nozzle off, I'm unscrewing the handle. That's this back part here. And I set that aside. Then I unscrew this. It's called the needle chuck, just like a drill chuck. I can slide the needle out. I don't have to take that chuck all the way off. I just have to loosen it. And there's the needle. It's a little hard to see, but it's all dirty on the end. And then I get my wrench, which is laying over here. And I just use, and some airbrushes, Wada makes one called the Eclipse, that the nozzle just press fits in. Most of theirs screw in. This one here, the nozzle screws off, drop it in the fluid, and now it's ready for full cleaning. And basically for cleaning, what I do is I start with, let's see where I'm at, 2 minutes. So I'm not going to get all the way through this that fast, but I usually tip the airbrush down, and I'm going to go to camera 3. And from the side, I put a little bit of alcohol in here. And if you watch, you'll see that comes out a little bit dirty. That brush is getting in the way and the paint color, and now it's starting to come out clean. So it rinsed out anything that's wet. I take a paper pipe cleaner. I dip it in there. I go and I'm twisting it as I go. I can actually see it poking through here. And I come out and it's covered with paint. I usually, because we're wood turners and we're all cheap, I take a paper towel and wipe it off. And I go back in there and I do that 3 or 4 times. And if it looks like I'm not getting much color off anymore, so there's that 3 times, I'll go up in there, do that. Sometimes I'll take a paint, just a cheap paintbrush like this. There we go. And I put some alcohol in there, and I can go in here and clean inside that little cup area. If your airbrush does not unscrew, you can still go down through the cup and do the same thing. And I'm getting all the paint, but the needle is going through that little cavity right there. So by doing this without the needle, you can really get down in there. So now the paint chamber is running from the bottom of the cup to the front. And if you were to look down in there now, I'm going to rinse it one more time. And
in a minute, Joe, and you got a question if you want it.
Okay, go ahead.
If you use a warm freezer pack or 2 in the box, should moderate temperature changes during shipping?
Oh, Martin, thank you. I hadn't thought of that before. I'll look into that for people in the cold climes as a way to go. So I'll just finish with this. Once that's all cleaned out, I clean each one of those parts and reassemble as I go. Usually takes me about 10 minutes, and we did what we did in 5, so we went halfway through. I'm going to finish cleaning it off of camera. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Steve.
So we'll see how this works. I'm having computer problems, which is ironic, I guess, because I spent 30 years as a field engineer in the computer industry. But, things change. So what I want to talk about is our disc tower product line. The disc towers are available for 2-inch discs or 3-inch discs, and this in particular is a...
You died again, Steve. Sorry.
Yeah.
Why don't you see if you can fix that? Maybe we'll bump you, and if Cindy is ready to go.
Yeah. Well, greetings, everyone. Thanks for being here. This is great stuff. And I am going to talk a little bit about my favorite thing to do, which is my online demonstrations, the way to subscribe to me and get notifications of all of the stuff that I do, including links for things like this session. I will start with my auction piece because this is great fun. And I've been putting up the current bids for the auction there. And so thank you all, everyone who's been bidding. This is really, we love doing something for the community, and we love making pieces together So just a little plug for the one that I'm doing. It's right here. And it was started by Emma Cook, who did the platter. She came over to my shop and we hurriedly found her a cherry blank to use. And at the same time online, Todd is turning the lid. I finished it up later on in my live stream. And when Emma was here, she did some texture and some carving. She used gilding techniques for her ethereal and chameleon flakes and some other dry brushing techniques and things. So this was really, really cool stuff by Emma. And then the rest of us, Todd and I, finished it up. There's a little opal inlay in the top of the lid. On the bottom, I signed it with all three of our names and filled it with gold engraving filler like I like to do. Okay, so so what I want to talk about for my part is the online demos that I do. And I'm going to do in my next segment a bottle stopper with some beads on it, because I was trying to work with different finishes I might use on my beaded ginger jar, which was the subject of my last online presentation. It's got a screw-on lid with a Niles threaded insert and beads made with D-Way beading tools primarily. So bottle stoppers are a great way to experiment with finishes, and you'll see that in my next segment. But for now, I just want to explain what I offer with my online classes. I do a plan with the sizes of the piece I'm going to be doing and all the components laid out. And this time I also did a plan for the rough out, because trying to keep the dimensions of the rough out in order so that I could have a finished piece to true up after it was dry required a little bit of measuring at that stage too. My next up thing, I'm going to do an ornament, a multi-axis ornament. It will not look like this and it will not have beads on it, but this is something I had a picture of. It's a collaboration done by David Nittman and myself. I probably did all the turning because this looks like my kind of a thing here. And then David did the basket illusion decoration. And of course I turned the finials, and this one's gilded, but what I do on Saturday, December 6th is not going to look exactly like this. I am going to give away during our halftime and our end raffles. Now, nobody's mentioned the raffles yet, but we're going to have raffles where you can win a prize offered by each one of us. And I have a video or IRD ticket. I also have a bottle stopper toolkit on offer for a prize. So look for that pretty soon. As far as videos go, I am working really hard now on getting more of my past IRDs up where you can rent the video. And so I have ornaments with finials and cutting threads with a jig. This was great fun. I made a nut and bolt box that opens up and showed how I adjust and use a threading jig for the lathe. I've also done some on thread chasing. Mushroom boxes with a gilded rim, and the gilded sea urchin box, and a sphere box with a gilded inside, which you don't see in this picture. Oh, and Emma Cook. This is her. She can't be with us today because she had a job, which in her business and ours is good. So, yeah. All right. So I've got a few minutes left. And what I'd like to mention is what I have for specials. So I am sort of restructuring my business a little bit to give myself time for more videos and more demos. I am going to be backing off with tool sales and only selling things that you can't get anywhere else. So I have been offering Niles bottle stoppers, and now I'm going to close out the bottle stoppers and the mandrels and drill bits and inserts and things. I also have my Signet mini hollowing tool as a special deal with a free spare cutter. So you buy the Signet, you get a free spare cutter. Again, it's got to be done on that vendor showcase specials page. And I might have a time to do a very little bit of hollowing with the Signet. We've got 2 minutes, so let's do it. Why not? I'm really just going to be showing you how this works. I'm not going to have time to do all the hollowing of anything. And this piece is actually almost all the way hollowed out at the moment anyway. So what I mostly want to show you is some things to do with how I want to use this tool. I've got to have the tool rest behind the bend so that the cutter is in line with or behind the support point. So I need the tool rest behind the bend. That's the first thing. And then the other part of it is, so I'll move my tool rest back just a bit. The other part of it is that I will get a much more forgiving hollowing with this tool if I do two things in the presentation. Roll it up on the corner a little bit to make it less aggressive and raise up the handle. So what I'm doing here is I'm rolling the tool over a little, this is exaggerated, and raising the handle, and that'll give me a much less aggressive presentation. I also notice that when I do that, I need to raise my tool rest so that I'm not cutting so far below center. So we'll just do a very little bit of hollowing here. I guess this is a good view for that. What speed? Well, you can see the speed readout in the upper left corner of the screen, and I'm gonna just play it by feel here and see what seems to work for speed. So I'll try my presentation, and it looks like I've almost all hollowed this one. Oh, and the speed is feeling good here with what I've got, which is about 2,000 RPM. I can get all the way in the bottom with this same tool. And what this tool is designed for is hollowing ornament globe sized hollow forms through a 1/2 inch or 5/8 inch open. So that's me, and we're on to hopefully Steve if he's here.
I'm going to take a little break here. We had to reshuffle things a little bit, and for the 5 of us in the studio, Steve has been having some technical issues, and so I've pushed his stuff down to the end in the next half. So I've had to reshuffle things in the order of operations just to accommodate Steve. Hopefully he can get his system up and running. We've got the break now for 20 minutes, 10, 25, so maybe close to an hour for Steve to try and get things set on his end. So we'll see if that works. So we're out of break time right now, and it's a great time to kind of show these things off again and to look at the charity auction results. And if I have, there's an updated one. We'll just try and get that in there. Nancy had 85 on the oak bowls from Steve, which were at 75. So the tree bowl that Joe and I did is at 180. I think that's right. And the oak bowls are at 85 now, not 75. Joe and Lyle's leaf bowls 130, Lyle's cherry box at 70, Mike's veterans bowl at 80, Cindy, Todd, Emma platter at 250. So great stuff. Keep it coming, and we'll get more for the San Diego Humane Society. So
and here's a question for you, OB.
Why is it called a Veterans Bowl?
Great question. So it's Veterans Bowl. Not only was this last week Veterans Day, but Pearl Harbor Day is on the 7th as well. The penny that's in it is a steel penny. because they stopped doing the copper ones for the war effort. So there were 3 years, I think it's 41, 42, and 43, that were all
Zinc
done
pennies.
as steel pennies. Yep.
Wheat.
So, well, this isn't a, is it
It's
a
a
wheat?
wheat too. Yep.
Yeah, it's a wheat penny
Wheat
too.
and steel.
So that's why I decided to do it as a Veterans Bowl. It also goes to the current economy where pennies are no longer being manufactured. So it kind of had a dual purpose there. But I think that,
they just discontinued that this week.
yeah.
Yep.
So that's a quick answer.
Yeah, the leaf bowl I did here is kind of an interesting product. I did use a stencil. I used some what is it called, Frisket, to got a shape out of a image catalog somewhere. Worked in my graphic program, created a stencil, laid the Frisket down, which I've had that Frisket in my closet for 10 years, and it's still perfectly fine. So that's a good shout out to that Frisket stuff. Cut out this tree shape, and then I sprayed it with a product from Mohawk Finishes called a breakaway glaze. And basically it sprays on like a very wet paint, but it dries like a powder. And at that point, the little scratches in the root section here, I basically took a toothpick and just scratched away. And then top coated the whole thing with Minwax polyacrylic finish. So interesting product. So going to do more of that.
I used lots of Frisket in airbrushing.
Did you?
Not today, but
not today. Yeah.
When I'm doing those pictures, when I paint a picture on a platter, I'm using Frisket.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's a wonderful stuff. We do have some other things to do here. Q&A. If you got questions, let us know. Okay. So KK posted a link to the steel penny thing. So very cool. Let's talk about the auction again for a minute, just to kind of pump it up. Oops, I keep doing that. There's our banners. San Diego Humane Society is who we're auctioning charity. The charity we're auctioning the pieces off for. This is mine and Joe's. And Joe's got a picture up in his corner of his and mine, as well as his and Lyle's.
Oh, which do you want?
And Lyle has shown his the inside of his holoform that he's currently making. So it looks
Well, you guys
sweet.
were working. I finished the inside. It's really cool in there. It's hard to get a picture of it, but it's all done and ready to put some finish on.
Well done. So let's get those auction values up, and raise some money for charity. And these are unique pieces that you're not gonna see anywhere else. That quadricentennial oak, you'll never see that kind of oak again. I got a bunch more to turn. I've turned a bunch of it, but I got some more to turn. So I'm taking my time with that product. So and then Joe's, our collaborations are fantastic and one of a kind pieces, as well as the Cindy Todd Emma Cook one. So good. And then Mike's penny bowl, Veterans Bowl. That's a unique piece. So yeah, we're good, and keep the bids coming. We appreciate it, and we appreciate you all being here so much. So shall we carry on? Here's the let's put that up. That's a good idea.
We can put Lyle up big because he's up next anyway.
Okay.
There he is.
There's the current bids, and we keeping track of who they are and stuff, and we'll announce those at the end. So let's I'll move on to the next queue. So Lyle, you're up, my friend.
Well, Mike's going to walk through the tool exhibition part of it and show tools that are on my website and been in there for years. So we'll let Mike take it from here.
How's everybody doing? Thanks for being here. What fun we're having. Raising some great money for a great cause. So everybody likes puppies and kittens. So hopefully a few will be rescued in San Diego if you keep those bids going. So you kind of saw Lyle use the howling system or demo howling system during his demo, his mini demo. I just wanted to go over what the features are and benefits are of using this hollowing system. Everything is captured, easily fits to the bed. You can see how the back is captured and stabilized. Nothing bad can happen. You can't get a catch. In fact, I've had, I don't know how old he was. He couldn't see. He was shorter than the tool rest using the hollowing system at one of these symposiums I was at. But it's got a 3/4 inch boring bar with the laser assembly. You saw that in action. The kind of some of the things that he didn't show because he was doing something smaller is one of the benefits is the 3 reach capability. So what you saw in use was the straight boring bar with the swivel assembly. But the basic package also comes with a hooked one, not a whole boring bar, but this fits in the same boring bar. And then if you reverse it, you have this hook capability. Oh, maybe I could do it over here. Maybe that's easier. So what this gives you is without purchasing anything additional, if you want to get into hollowing, you can hollow any shape that you can turn the outside of. Obviously, it gets more complicated the more undercut the shoulders are and that kind of stuff. But it's a great system. He demonstrated the carbide. The system also comes with high-speed steel, which is a little bit easier to use. You can go in, out, left, right, whatever you want to do. So that's the basics of Lyle's hollowing system. We do sell additional packages, one with the carbide that Lyle showed you earlier, which this isn't exactly it, but I guess back here is. So what's special about the carbide that's designed with Mike Hunter is that you could see it's on a 30-degree angle. It's much smaller, so I didn't want to get the one off the lathe. So instead of what most people think of a scraper or a carbide as the wood's coming down as a scraper, with it on a 30-degree angle, you're actually slicing the fibers. So like Lyle showed and demonstrated, you get a clean cut. And that beautiful piece he did, you can see he was showing it if you missed it. There isn't a tool mark. There's no sanding required on the inside of that. I can run that through. What's the first thing that every turner does when they're pick up a hollow form? They stick their fingers in it to see if there's any tool marks. Well, this isn't sanded. This was just with the carbide cutter, and it is a perfect surface on the inside that you could finish, and nobody could tell how you hollowed it because of the simplicity and the fingertip control of the system. The other tool I want to talk about, and I did need to mention, what's that?
My bowl gouge just got the grind on it.
Oh, okay. Lyle rarely runs specials. We have show specials, but then you have to pay to get into a symposium to get the show specials. So this is a unique opportunity to get 10% off the system. So if you're at all interested in it, please give us a call. We can get one in your hands so you can have the same amount of fun doing hollow forms. The other tool is Lyle's signature bowl gouge. It is 90% of the work I do. These are the 2 tools I use for doing a hollow forms, bowls, everything. Well, I don't use the hollowing system to do bowls, but his bowl gouge. What's special about it? It's made by Doug Thompson, so it's the best steel in the world, heat treated, but it's got what's unique about it. Maybe I should go over here. Is it's got a parabolic flute. There's not many bowl gouges out there that you can buy. You'll see U and you'll see V-shaped. And what that allows me to do is sweep the wings back. So this tool, the versatility of this tool is what makes it special. I could do basic hogging off cuts, which most people do with the bowl gouge, but I can also do a pull cut, which saves me from buying another tool. I can do a scrape, so I don't have to buy a scraper, and you can also do shear scraping. So I like it because of its versatility. It's easy to use, and every time, in my opinion, pick up another tool, you buy another tool, you got to learn a whole new set of rules. The handle has to be up, down. When I stick to this, it's easy. The tool's already in my hand, and I can get more work done in a shorter amount of time. So a little bit about me. My nickname is OB. So if you've ever been to one of my demos at a symposium, I guess, or vendor showcase, Obakowski doesn't work. It's too long. Nobody wants to pronounce it. So it's been my nickname since I was a young boy when they called roll call and the teacher would say, Mike Oba, and they'd never get to the rest of it. And I just raised my hand. So I got used to Obakowski, OB. Been to Airmont twice with Avelino Samuel and Rudy Lopez. But more importantly, been 5 years with Lyle Jamieson. It's been amazing learning, traveling to shows, and gotten me in a position where I'm going to start doing demos. So with that, a little teaser, and I'm gonna probably regret this because it's the weekend after Cindy's and she's doing an ornament. I'm going to do an ornament the way Lyle taught me to do them. I can't compete with Cindy's finials, but we'll do what we can. But the cool thing about it is I'm going to have 3 blanks prepared, and you guys are going to get to pick which one I turn into an ornament. So excited about that. That'll be on the 13th, probably at 1 o'clock. I'll get stuff out to everybody. You should all be on our mailing list. So you'll be hearing more and more about that as we move along. I think that's all I've got. I'm not going to try and stretch this out. I love turning. I'm enjoying it. Love traveling to symposiums, and really proud to be part of the vendor showcase. So
we can talk
Cool.
about
Thanks, Mike.
one more thing, the resources that I have. So I've got YouTube videos that are just free, but the problem or limits of the YouTube is that I talk about one subject at a time. You don't get the continuity of the whole process that I have. And my process is designed to do it fun and easy and safe. And so there's lots of pieces of the puzzle all along there. What the DVD download gives you is 4 hours and 20 minutes of the bowl DVD is all of the foundation elements that you would never get in YouTube because you'd have to just watch 100 of them. And it has the continuity of the whole process. And it talks about greenwood handling and sharpening and grain orientation, preventing catches, and yada, yada, everything, starting, beginning, ending, finishing a bowl. And I use the bowl format for all of that teaching. The second DVD is the hollowing system that goes through all of the things, the chucking methods and the system, how to use the system and the laser and everything else. So the DVDs are really a better teaching resource than the YouTube videos. And Mike's going to be starting to do IRDs now, and he's already done demos for clubs and regional symposiums. He's done, well, I don't know, half a dozen or so far already, and going to start doing them also in IRD form. So that'll be coming up in December. Anything else to add?
I don't think so.
Okay,
Appreciate it.
cool. We can pass it on to the next session.
Thank you, Lyle and Mike. I appreciate it. And we are now at my point of the program where I get to demo a little bit. So I've got a selection of tools down here we're going to look at. I've got this little piece of maple. We'll get that in focus in a minute. But I was thinking I want to make another little box. And so I've got some of this this fancy big leaf maple that I cut up 2 years ago and made probably 6 Ikebana vases. So this is the same maple, and I made 3 or 4 of these for my daughter's wedding. So I've got some cutoffs left, and I thought, well, let's make a little box. So this is a burl, so it's actually face grain, but since it's going all over the place, we're going to see what tool cuts best. Negative rake scrapers, regular scrapers, mate tool, hook tool, my cutters, my teardrop cutters, a robust scraper. And to be honest, when I made those Ikebana vases, this one worked the best for hogging away wood. But I'm doing some experiments to see if traditional scrapers, other tools would work better. That's what we're going to do here this afternoon or for the next 20 minutes or so. So let me move some of this out of the way and we'll get going. So if you got questions during this demo about the tools I'm using, or you want to see another tool used, if I have it available, I'll try and accommodate what you're
Todd, there was a
asking for.
request a while back
Sure.
for the hook tool.
Yes, I saw that. That was Josh asking that, so I got my hook tool out during the break, and we'll start that one as well. So appreciate the question and the chance to put that up again. And if you have any questions for me now or afterwards, email, and I will try and answer. So I'm going to start with the hook tool, just to kind of get it out of the way. I tested it just a little bit, and it's not going to be the best solution for this by any means. So let me get this.
Hey Todd, would you show the cutting edge kind of up close? Just put it over the top of the piece and zoom it up a little bit.
Sure. Yep. I'm going to get my tool rest somewhat in place. We can talk about all of that. So here is the hook tool. And we'll zoom in a little bit. All right. So this is the Michael Hoslow hook tool. Michael gets these made and grinds them all up in Saskatchewan in his shop, and sends them down to me to sell. And I've been selling them for 6.5 years now, and tremendous seller. I created the bar to hold it. It's about an 8mm shank, so I've got a little couple of set screws to hold that in there. It's about a 45-degree bevel angle on this guy. So if we look at it that way, you can kind of see that bevel. This one's worn down quite a bit. This is one of my original ones I've had for 5 years. And I've taken it to the grinder and ground down. But normally this is all the way along there and down. So, I use it where this is facing down. So the hook is now facing down. So I call that 6 o'clock. And I'll give it a little twist to 6:30, 7 o'clock, and that's how it's going to cut up there. And that'll be a bevel riding cut. So we'll do that quickly. And I'm bringing the tool rest back a little bit so that I can get my tool out of the way without it sitting on the shank. And I want my tool to be able to go in and out of the starter hole easily. So before I get to anything, get my safety glasses. All right, I've got a short handle on this, but it's enough for this size of piece. For every inch I'm over the tool rest, I want about 5 inches of handle. So we're about there. So I'm going to start directly in that hole, and then right now it's just scraping. If I give it a twist, it'll start cutting, and I'm feeling a bit of a bounce to it, and that's because of the burl. If we stop and take a look at that surface, it's not too bad. It feels actually pretty good. I do have a bit of a bounce right around that hard bark area, and it's a good surface, and it's not bad, but this isn't probably the best tool for this. I do have, I think, better results with a different tool from what I tested earlier. So the hook tool is great. It's meant for end grain hollowing. This isn't end grain. This is cross grain. I don't recommend it for cross grain. Being this is a burl, it's kind of going all over the place, so that's why I tried it here. If you're doing this on cross grain, you're hitting end grain every 2 revolutions or every twice a revolution. You're also hitting long grain every twice a revolution. And that long grain is going to catch on this and peel like you're chipping out when you're using a chisel. So I've had not many people, but a few people use it. 1 or 2 with success. Most of them don't have success going cross grain. So end grain tool only, or burls if it works. But I'm finding a different tool would work better. I'm going to try this big flat scraper. So I've got the edge radius back just so slightly. So this is less than 90 at the corner. I've also got that edge kind of cleared away, but I'm going to hog away a bit of material with this and see how that works. So tool rest closer in, tool up above center. It's a bit too far above center. So I got my handle up versus my my tool cutting edge, and we'll see how that goes. And I did have a lot of success with this hogging away material when I did those vases, and this works really quite well. I'll take just a little bit at a time, not the whole cut. I'm only taking a little bit at a time, so clear the dust off. And you can see I'm only using that much of the cutter at one time. If I use the whole thing, it's just too much at once. And that's why I got the slight radius on it, so that I don't get the whole edge engaged at one time. So this peels off, gets you nice chips there coming off. But what's the surface like? So let me just get this leveled down. And we'll look at this leveled surface in there and see what that surface looks like. See if we're getting a good finish off the tool. So just lightly rubbing. I'm going to come down that side. It's not going to cut right because it's not a round edge. So it's going to kind of veer off to the center, but I just want to get in that corner and just kind of finish that off.
Question for you, Todd, if you want it.
Sure. Yep. Shoot.
How do you sharpen the hook tool?
The hook tool gets sharpened with a little half-round diamond hone. You could use a cone hone. Could use any other kind of tool that's going to fit into that spot. So here's the hook tool. I do use the flat side to clean up the top edge, but I try not to change that bevel at all. Most of my honing, and I'll hone this for 99% of the time. I think the first time I took it to the grinder was after a year and a half worth of honing. Of course, I'm not a full-time turner, so your mileage may vary. But just up and down, inside, around that side. And all I'm trying to do is get the sharp edge on top, right? Leave the bevel nice and smooth from the factory or from my shop, if you will, and hone that inside. So that's it. Just a hone, 1/4 inch, half-round hone, the hook tool, and the hook tool bar. Comes as a bundle for about 106 or something like that total. But let's take a closer look at this. The surface in there is not too bad. I do have some picked up grain right in that area there with the burl coming through. And and there's some on that side too. So we're getting some picked up grain with the single bevel scraper. So not a bad choice, but maybe a smaller scraper would work just as well, or maybe a bit better with less tool engaging. Let's try this Jimmy Clue's mate tool. So I've grabbed my my mate tool. I've got to take that thread cover off. Put a handle on this guy. This mate tool is basically the same kind of carbide cutter that Lyle was using. But this is on a steel bar that's got a slight slope to the tip, so that when you hold this bar level, you are getting a slope to that front side of that cutter. So have this right on center too. This is great for end grain, side grain, wet or dry wood. It's a very easy tool to use. And so we'll just kind of sweep across, kind of like Lyle did on his cherry burl, but we're doing this with our hand. And I'm going to come across this surface a little bit. And we'll see what those shavings look like. I'm just going to kind of do a little curve in there. And we'll clean up this pass here. Let's take a look at what that looks like. So not bad at all. It's a pretty good cut. I'm getting some tear out here. But otherwise, this is a pretty good finish straight off the tool. And Lyle showed evidence of that with his hollowing system. We're happy to be an affiliate of Lyle's, and so you'll find his systems on our site, and we get a little bit of a percentage when you buy through us from Lyle. So thank you, Lyle, for doing that. So that's the mate tool. There's 2 different sizes and 2 different styles, giving a selection of 4 different tools. Check out the website for those. I'm going to use my teardrop cutter, and we'll do this one next. It's basically a single bevel scraper, but it's got a little bit of a different feel to it than just a handled tool like we saw earlier. So I've got this on a half-round bar that I make, and it basically allows you to shear scrape, and the flat bar allows you to hollow. So this gives you a bit of stability when you're hollowing. I've got the cutter set up to hollow, so that means I've got the bevel down this side, so when it's this side, it's underneath. And so that's what we're going to do here. We're going to hollow with this thing. I need to raise the handle, or the tool rest, to get the handle a little bit higher than the cutter when the cutter's on center, and that looks about right. This is going to be basically easy hand hollowing. just with the cutter, and I'm barely going, 1,500 RPM maybe? It doesn't have to be too fast. I'll make a nice curve down in there, aggressive cut there, and I'll go for a lighter cut. And we'll see what the surface is like. So my point of doing this whole exercise is not to be married to one tool. And I have an option to see how the grain's going to work and how the finish is going to be off the tool. I don't like sanding. I have a lot of pieces in my house that have never been sanded. So that's not good news for Steve Worcester. Sorry, Steve. But I just am not one to spend that time sanding. So I try and get the best finish off the tool I can. That's pretty good. You can see I've got some embedded, might be better on this side. No, this side of the camera. If I go back to this one and maybe just zoom that in a little bit. We've got a little bit of tear out right up in here. You can kind of see that sort of freckle pattern right there. So not too bad, but look, what if we switched that cutter? If I take that cutter that I had there and I put a negative rake on top. So I take it to my grinder, I put the platform, the initial bevel is about 70 degrees. If I put the platform so I get a 10-degree bevel, I get a bevel on top now. So it's got a bottom bevel and a top bevel. And let's see if a negative rake scraper works better than a single bevel scraper.
Question, looks like you're holding the tool upside down.
Yeah, well, it does look like that. So let me show you on this one. I'm going to use that negative rake scraper upside down. But if I was to turn this cutter over, so I flip it over, put it that way, and then tighten that down. I've now got the cutter so it's facing, so I rest it on the round part of the bar. So that's the difference. You can flip the cutter over to use the round side, or in this case, the flat side. So that's why the half round bar. Let's try it with the half round bar up, or on the half round, the cutter up. I got to lower the rest, and we'll do a shear scrape with it this way. So I'll angle my tool rest a little bit, and I'll just do a shear scrape. Shear scrape is basically not flat, but I'm rolling it over so I get a less than 90 degrees between my blade and the wood. So if I hold it flat right in the center, I'm 90 degrees, and I'm likely to get a catch, so I roll it over and curve it. Let's try that first, then we'll try the negative rake. So notice how the tool is rolled over. If I look at overhead, see I've got the tool rolled over. And if we get real extreme, if we needed a ledge right there, we could get that ledge by rolling this tool right over and cutting with the scraper right into that corner. So now let's take a closer look at that surface. So we shear scrape this side. I still got a little bit of roughness right there, not bad. It's cleaning up a little bit right in that part. I've got a nice clean cut on this surface, so that's kind of nice. So that works. It's a dual use tool. Now let's take a look at the negative rake version of it. So on the flat. So I put it on the flat because I've already got a negative rake with my chamfer, my bevel on top, so I don't need to roll it over to get that negative rake. I can just hold it level at center. And move this in just a little bit. I need room for my tool to come out because the cutter's underneath, so I've got to be able to have room for that tool to come out, and that looks good. So I don't have a handle on this right now. I'm just doing a very light cut along there with a negative rake. So, all right, here we go. Just a very light cut. Right there, I feel that bounce. I've got too much of the cutter in contact at once. So if I sweep off those shavings, right there, my tool is contacting about half inch width of tool contact. So maybe I go a little bit steeper and use the nose a bit more. You want a conformal shape, but not so the whole shape touches at once. So you want the shape to somewhat conform to the surface you're cutting, but not necessarily to have the whole tool touching at once. Let's take a look at that surface. So to my feel, that's pretty much got rid of that tear out right there in that burr. So the other tool that we can throw on is a ready-made negative rake, like this robust large negative rake tool. So this one is basically the same principle as what I just did with this, but in a pre-built tool. So let's try that one. Let me get a handle on this one and experiment with this negative rake tool. So,
Question for you.
yep, go ahead.
Are you actually selling a negative rake version of your teardrop scraper, or do you mean grind?
Good question. Good question, Rain. I am not selling a negative rake version of this. This is something you can do in your shop. If there's enough demand, I will do it. It's just more time. It's going to be more expensive. So that's the only thing, right? I just set this on the platform, have the platform very close to the grinding wheel, and just move it around on the grinding wheel by hand. So it's very easy to do. The negative rake's a bit more tricky because you got to kind of hold it up and pressure a little bit because it keeps sliding down. But using your thumb, it doesn't take long. It's a good thing. I've got a smaller cutter, the small hollowing cutter, that does come with a negative rake. I don't have that in front of me right now, unfortunately. But I made that actual small one for using Lyle's hollowing system. I'd use the carbide cutter or the high-speed steel cutter and hollow. Then I got my little small cutter developed in a smaller sort of squat teardrop, almost like a radish shape, if you will, and put a negative rake on it, and it works great. It swivels fully around on that extension that Lyle's system uses, and so that works great too. So,
another question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Make a burr on negative rake?
Yeah, so I sharpen these tools. You'll notice that this one, the robust one, is black on top on this top negative rake. So they grind that top bevel for you, and then they nitride a treating system to process to make this a harder steel. They nitride the whole thing and then grind the bottom bevel, which is bare metal. So I only grind this, when you get one of these, only grind it on the one bevel, and grinding up this way with the steel going down, the wheel going down, will create a burr on the top. So it's counterintuitive, but it does do that because it pushes the steel out of the way. So it does make a burr. So this one is going to act kind of the same way as the one I just did. I'm going to put a bit more pressure down on the tool rest. I waxed up my tool rest like Lyle showed. Makes the tool glide a lot easier when you're doing these fine cuts. You'll find that sort of fuzzy area right in here, and just slowly go over that very gently. I feel a slight vibration right in there, so I just slowly move over that area, and we'll take a look. It's starting to actually give a bit of a gloss shine to it now. So that, I think, is the best finish I've got so far. So that little area right there, it's a trouble spot, is still a little bit picky out, but that's the end grain right there. You're going to have that until you work through it, either with more shear scraping or negative rake scraping or some sanding. But that's kind of the idea I wanted to show today. This little box I'm going to finish off probably during my live streams. My next live stream is on Black Friday, so that'll be a lot of fun. We will have some specials on Black Friday as well. So, but I'm thinking about a top. So let me know in the comments. One last comment here, Cindy, before I go. Should it be a cherry top? Should it be another maple top? Should I put a band of ebony around the outside? So some options there. Maybe an ebony top. I don't know. But I'm going to figure it out. If you got some suggestions, let me know. Thanks all. Don't forget the coupon code and the specials from all of us. And don't forget to bid for those auction pieces.
Okay, so as Todd just said, bid on the auction items. So the two that I collaborated, one with Todd and one with Lyle. So the boxes. And you can see Todd's been showing a picture of that. Lyle's box. By the way, he didn't mention it, Lyle, I don't think, but this piece here, I don't think he sanded it, and it is glass smooth off of that cutter that he was using. And remember, this is dry burl. It came out really nice. I was looking at it as Todd was talking. I was like, oh yeah, wow. Anyway, so those are the two pieces. So that's the auction. It's the San Diego Humane Society doing great work here in town, and would love for you to support that. All the information is on the page there. And if you're interested in making a donation to a really good cause, you don't have to win something. You can just donate to the link live. They have an online deal to do that. So feel free to do that. They're a great organization. So enough on that. If you have any questions, feel free to call me, text me, email me. There's a contact page on my website. You can just do that and it shoots me an email. Any of that is good. Want to talk about the airbrushes just a bit. And I have 3 airbrushes. And there is the 3 are these 3 here are the primary ones I sell. Grex has other airbrushes and they have a lot of options. Rather than trying to stock a whole bunch of different airbrushes, I stock these 3. So this is called the Genesis. This and this airbrush are actually exactly the same airbrush. The difference between this and this is that this one comes with a neoprene grip, and it also comes with 3 different cup sizes. When you buy this one, I'm reaching over here to get the cups. I have a pile of them here. It comes with a small, medium, and a large cup. This is the small cup. This is the medium cup. And I believe, I wasn't thinking I should have all this stuff dumped out. There's the large cup, medium cup, and small cup. So there's all the cups you get when you get this one. They all come with 2 different tips. One is this cone tip, and the other one is a crown tip that looks like this. And if you look at it from the side, I'm going to put it on this airbrush so you can see it. It has 2 little prongs. What that allows you to do is spray actually touching the surface such that you get the needle closest to as close as possible to the work surface without damaging it. But the air has a place to escape, so you can draw very, very fine lines. Other than that, these are the same brushes. This brush here is $129. This one here is $185 with all the extra parts that I just described. This one's called the Tritium. Again, it comes with the 3 different cup sizes as well. And it is a pistol grip. What's interesting about the Grex product is all of these brushes use exactly the same needle, the same nozzle cover, and because they're all top gravity feed, they use all the same cups. So you could retrofit this one, if you will, with the other cups if you wanted to buy those separately later on to make it a full-fledged Genesis brush. So this is called the Genesis ES for Essential, just the necessary stuff to get going. This one's called the Genesis, and this one's called Tritium. And when you buy the kits, these are priced differently, and the price differences in the kit are strictly the price differences of the airbrushes only. Everything else is the same in the kit. I do sell used equipment. When I get a hold of used airbrushes and compressors, I make those available for sale. I clean them up. I replace any damaged parts. And I think right now I have one or two of these available. I think I have one of these available. I don't have any of these available, but if you want one of these, if you get that, you just strip the rubber off and you've got it. So it's the same brush. And so where this one's $185, I sell this one for, I think, $135. I'd have to double check. As a used one, I sell this one at, it's normally $220. Or $218, I think, and I sell this one for $170 used, but it's completely checked out. So I have one sitting right over here to my left that I acquired, and I still need to go through it one more time to make sure it's all clean and it would be ready to go. If you're interested in those, I don't list that on my website. Call me because it's kind of random when I do it. I do also have some used compressors. And I would build a kit out of used equipment if you wanted. I just discount it by those prices in the final price, more or less. The compressor already is discounted quite a bit. This list price on the compressor is $260, and I discount that already in the kit quite a bit. The airbrushes are already fully discounted in the kits. But I do have some used compressors available right now too. If you're interested, the used compressors I believe are $160. Versus $260 new. So you do save a lot of money on that if you decide to go that route. So that's the airbrushes and new and used equipment. The last thing I wanted to mention is that I do IRDs. Contact me if you're interested. And I do remote teaching as well. So I'm not just doing a demo, but I'll actually do a class online. We'll have people remotely set up, and I'll help everybody in the class get set up so that everybody's got kind of a common workstation. Cindy actually taught me how to do this, and I've done a couple of them, and they work great. If you don't want to afford the travel expenses of me coming to your site, but I do travel. Happy to do that if you want. I've got 2 or 3 of those already lined up for next year. I'm going to be going to Oregon. I'm going to be going to Arizona, and I'm thinking through. I think there's one more in the summer that I'll be going. So happy to come to your place. I bring some equipment when I come. So if anybody wants to buy, when I teach, however, I'm not pushing to sell equipment. I'm there to teach. So I focus on that. And but if you want to buy anything, I'll have equipment available or I'll ship it to you. So anyway, that's kind of my gig and what I'm into. So if you have any questions about airbrushing or getting going, and as I mentioned at the outset, I'm a wood turner who airbrushes. So I actually do other demos, and you can find a list of those on my website under education. I do boxes, I do spindle work, I make shaker footstools with a shaker tape or fiber rush weaving on it. I do a 3-legged Windsor bar stool as a demo. What else do I have on that list?
You got a question, Joe, if you want it.
Yeah, go for it.
On your website under paints, it shows only primary color selection. How do you purchase the earth tone set?
John, great question. I was having when I first started carrying Createx paint, they have 3 different product lines that might have worked. And so I had all of them. I have a huge box of all this paint sitting over here on my right. And I was trying to decide which one. So I started taking all the Grex paint off the website that I used. Grex doesn't carry paint anymore. That's why I changed. And Createx, I was like trying to figure out what to do. I'm way behind on setting up the Grex paint. I mean, the Createx paint. If you want to buy paint, give me a holler. And so you can buy us. And I don't remember the prices off the top of my head, but I don't sell an earth tone set anymore because that was a Grex thing to do. So I have Createx primary colors that has 5 colors plus a reducer, so 6 bottles. I have a a secondary set, 5 bottles of color plus a reducer for 6 bottles. I carry this set of illustration colors. This is called the Color Wheel set. This is the way they package it. And it has 16 bottles, reducer, and clear base is in there. And then I sell all the rest of the illustration colors in a set of 9. I believe it's 9. So you can get a total of 16 plus 9, 25 colors. Total is the complete set. They have a few specialty colors. I don't carry those. They're for like flesh tones and things like that for model makers. I don't bother with those. But that's all available. Give me a holler, and I'll be happy to go over those prices with you. And note to self, finish my website.
All right, Steve, are you alive and available in there?
You would think so.
Excellent. I know the gremlins have got you today.
This is Bailey. Bailey is a new addition.
Bailey's a new one.
Comes
nice.
named after George Bailey, from It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah.
I wanted Zuzu, but that didn't work out. Bailey came from a local no-kill shelter. And this is our third, fourth dog that we've gotten from local shelters. Okay.
Yeah, we're not sure what problem Steve is having. I think he's maybe figured it out, or I don't know.
I have not.
Okay. Well, these setups are complicated. There's Joe. So Joe's the default when Steve drops. So we're gonna have to. Sorry, Joe, you're back on camera. I want to see Bailey too. I saw pictures of him.
Okay, here's Bailey.
Oh, hey Bailey. Hey, cute pup.
Bailey is
how old is he? Do you think?
She is a 3-month-old Chihuahua mix.
Oh, nice.
To go with our Brussels Griffin that was sold as a Chihuahua mix, but obviously is not. But that's neither here nor there.
Well, sorry to hear the passing of Sadie, was it?
Callie. Yeah, Callie was with us for 12 years, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what I'm going to talk about in my however much time I have here until the computer drops. These are our disc towers. These are for disc storage, 2-inch or 3-inch, and they come in 2 or 3, as I call them, floors. Floors in a condominium tower or something. These are made in-house. They have our logo on the top, and then magnets on top and magnets on the bottom as well. It could be infinitely customized on the website right now under that particular portion. If you go to the website turningwood.com and then click on store, there's a top right is a disc tower, and there it shows 30 different colors that are available, as well as Model T black. And then we have mounts for them as well. You can mount it on the wall if you want. These are additional, and you can mount it on a tabletop if you don't have a tabletop with a ferrous surface. And for Black Friday, when you buy this, you're going to get a free mount, which is $10 to $15, something like that. And customization is always free if you want to customize it. The same as with our disc caddies. As you have, here's a 3-inch disc caddy. This one is a little bit older because it has smaller magnets, but instead of throwing them away, I use them around the shop here. And the disc caddy is meant as a point of use. You put it at the lathe, you pile in your discs in the grit order that you want, and then as you take them off and use them, you flip them over to the other side.
I got your disc caddy up here, your 3-inch disc caddy on my overhead camera. Anyway,
there it is. Yeah,
this is what Steve does, and I guess the bottoms are on your towers are removable and you can make them certain colors?
It's the top and the bottom. Actually, I can do the whole thing in different colors if that's what you want.
Oh.
It's just a little bit
Nice.
longer lead time.
Steve was kind to do mine in my orange.
Yeah.
So that's the disc caddy. I've got all kinds of sandpaper. The bottom matches the colors, so carpet matches the drapes, so to speak. And the disc caddy and the disc tower, so they work great together. And a bunch of what do you call these things, Steve? These are the interface pads.
Yeah, those are disc protector pads. Those are designed. The problem with sanding is that it generates a lot of friction. Friction equals heat, and so that goes in between the disc itself and the pad or the mandrel, so that you don't get the heat transferred directly to the pad because of the cost difference in the pad. So it becomes a little bit of a sacrificial pad. So if you melt the Velcro, you're going to melt it on the disc protector pad. What you're holding right there is the hand sander, and the one that's in, I assume, your right hand has a 3-inch adapter on it, and those hand sanders actually will fit our
That was the glue stick. It's bought it as a 3-inch. This might be one of your first ones, or is that oh yeah, there is a Velcro pad under there.
Yeah. Anyway, so we warranty that. So you can actually put our Skilton sanding mandrels in those and hand sand with the sanding mandrels. So if you have a 2-inch or 3-inch sanding mandrels, there is a recess in the hand sander that is hex shaped, so it will go right in there.
Right.
As well as then you could put any of your interface pads to alter the thickness or the conformity on the sander as well.
Yeah, these are handy things. I use these all the time.
I could do a rainbow tower, absolutely. What I was going to show you was a sanding demonstration on this fine red oak bowl on sanding, going through different types of sandpaper, what you would use, how to sand on a bowl versus spindle work or versus a platter, although I finished the platter.
Can you, Steve, can you tell us the difference between the Mirka Gold and the Galaxy?
Sure, and thank you for being my straight man. So
you bet.
Mirka Gold is an aluminum oxide, as well as it comes in 30 millimeter, 2-inch, and 3-inch, as well as sheets, flat sanding stuff, and it is a paperback. It's all Velcro except for the sheets. The sheets aren't Velcro. Actually, hook and loop is the correct term because Velcro is a registered trademark, I believe, of Velcro or 3M, one or the other.
Right.
And so then there is also, and so it's a good all-around paper for basically anything you're going to do. It's not the best wet. No paper. Most paper backings aren't great for wet sanding, but it'll function fine. Cleans up easy using a disc cleaner, like you would use for a belt cleaner. And then and it's available in 80 grit to 600. There may be 800 still in stock. It used to come up to 1,000, but they discontinued that. Galaxy is available in 2-inch and 3-inch. Galaxy is an aluminum oxide ceramic hybrid. And the 3-inch has dust collection holes, even though we don't use those in wood turning because the sanders are god-awful expensive. And that product comes in 80 to 2,000 grit. And then the other popular one is Abranet. Abranet is a aluminum oxide on a mesh, and the idea behind that is that you have distance between the grit itself, and which helps keep the dust off of the paper. The paper doesn't load up as much. And that is available in 2-inch and 3-inch. with, hey, look at me, 2-inch and 3-inch, as well as in rolls. And we also sell by the foot with the rolls. The rolls, it's a 2 3/4-inch paper. And in a roll, it's available from 80 to 400. And in discs itself, it is currently available in 2-inch and 3-inch in 80 to 1,000. Although the 1,000, the 800 and the 1,000 don't move real well, so its future is maybe in jeopardy. It's becoming increasingly harder to get and more expensive to get. And all of our 2-inch and 3-inch products, the grit number is stamped on the back, and that is a laborious process that's done by my wife by hand using a metal marking ink. And so, you know, you could drop these in the middle of the pile and you could still tell what grit you're using. Now, the Skilton mandrel that you show there, we had a customer that started using the M12, the one on the, it's the bottom left there, the Milwaukee M12 polisher sander, which is a great product. It's what I use in-house now. And it has a really weird 9.5 millimeter nose thread. And so I found adapters. We now have the Skilton in a 1/4-inch quick release hex shaft, as well in a 2-inch and 30 millimeter 2-inch and 3-inch, as well as in the 2-inch and 3-inch for the M12. And then there is also a straight round shaft that's 1/4-inch. If you wanted to use this on a Grex or a die grinder. So the thing you need to be conscious of in that, as well as with the M12, is that they have 2 speed settings on the M12. One is up to 10,000 RPMs, which is way too high to be spinning a piece of Velcro against the wood. And then let's see, there's a question. Have you thought about a sponge attachment for those hand sanders? We do sell interface pads that come in a 1/4-inch, 1/2-inch, and 1-inch thick, which the 1/2-inch and 1-inch are really spongy, to lack of a better term. And so what it does is conform to the side of a bowl really well. And you could absolutely use them on an inertia sander. We don't sell inertia sanders anymore. They just didn't sell. I brought in 15 and it took probably about 3 years to sell them. So the interface pads, there's 3 different interface pads. The medium, which is white, which is actually kind of hard. And then there's the 3/4-inch and 1/2-inch in 2-inch. And then I believe it's 1/2-inch and 1-inch in 3-inch. And the thing about those is those are a little bit fragile. So you have to be careful when you peel it away from the mandrel itself, because there isn't a whole lot of contact surface when you take in the amount of open area with the holes in the foam. But they work really well. You could use them wet or dry. And the last product, what you had on your desk there, Todd, was it was red, and so that is Abralon. And Abralon was actually used for the solid surface countertop industry for the Corian, and it comes in 180 grit through 4,000. So if you're doing something like cutting a finish back to buff it, it works really well. It works wet or dry. It's a silicon carbide, which is the same stuff you would see on, you remember good old 3M wet or dry. That's a silicon carbide also. So if you're using it for oily woods or for film finish or something. I know Cindy uses those a lot on the oily woods, but it's like I use it to cut back lacquer or automotive film finish when I sand it. It's an expensive product. Fun fact, it's also used by bowlers to control the spin on the ball, which is kind of weird. They sell it in 5-inch and 6-inch as well. We only carry it in 2-inch and 3-inch. But
Steve, question for me is if you're wet sanding with the Abralon, what medium of fluid do you use? Oils or waters?
So it depends upon what my overall finish is, my end finish. And that's how you really got to think about it, is that like if you're going to use a wax, you could use almost anything on there, but water and wax don't mix well. It's going to blush. So if you're going to wet sand with water, you need to, and the final finish is going to be wax, then you need to make sure that it's going to be completely dry. But in that case, you could actually use the wax as a lubricant for the sanding as well. Or if you're going to do an oil finish, then you can use an oil for the fluid. But you need to, think about what your end finish is going to be. Like if you're going to use a film finish, a poly or a lacquer or something like that, something you would spray or wipe on that gets hard, then you want to make sure that you don't use something that's going to interfere with that. So if you use a wax, it's going to interfere with that. If you use an oil, it's going to interfere with that. So you need to make sure that your final finish is not going to be in competition with what you use during the sanding process. That's a good question, and I wish more people thought about it in the long run, because it's really, and it's interesting that people spend all this money on lathes and tools and M12 or 10V and 15V, and then they get the cheapest sandpaper possible, which is and the problem with an inexpensive sandpaper is the quality control on the grit itself. Because what they do is they run the grit through a sieve, and so the tolerance in that sieve has a lot to do with overall quality of the paper, as well as the materials involved. So, for instance, if an 80 grit is about 140 micron, by the way, if you go onto my website, there is a chart that shows you all the micromesh, ANSI, CAMI, all of those, and micron, so that you could compare. If you have a bunch of other sandpapers there that are different standards for grit grading, then you could use that to figure out, okay, if I use an ANSI 120, what do I use after that, because I only have a FIPA. So FIPA, the P grit system, is European, and ANSI, well, basically everybody but the US uses the P grit system, which is FIPA. And then
right. Where do I find that on your website?
It's under blog, and there's one in there that shows keep going. There you go, right there. Abrasive grit chart. And there should be a place to, and it's going to be really embarrassing if it doesn't work. Click on that baby. There you go. Okay.
Live action.
Because I was doing a demo last week and they go, the link doesn't work, so I had to go in and fix it after that. But
yeah, I'm on screen here. I just show this because this is one of my favorite uses of Abranet. Because I've got one of my handle tubes, got the foam on it. I wrapped it with Velcro.
Yeah.
And now I wrap this Abranet, and I put this on my lathe because this is 1x8. And I got a drum sander.
Yeah.
It's fantastic stuff.
I do occasionally use it. I have a small drum sander that I use mostly for knife scales. I do some knife making on the side also. And so it works really well on a drum sander. It is an expensive product to use on a drum sander, but it works really well.
Yeah, definitely. I want to go back there just to show it again.
And Karen wants me to thank my wife. I'll do that when I get in there.
And then Richard just gave you another question.
Cleaning off the residue between grits. So the residue buildup on there, like if you were doing wet sanding and you look at it, you'll see like streaks going around it. That's called pilling. And so what you want to do is use a disc belt cleaner, one of those crepe discs or one of those crepe blocks. And so I'll use a little bit on like if you have an oily wood or something like that, red oak is really bad for that because of the tannins. And so what I'll do is I'll do a little bit on the bowl, and then I have a crepe block that Rockler sold at one time that was on a little mount. But you could just take one of those disc belt cleaner sticks. You can get them off of Amazon, and it's basically a rubber crepe block that you can use for cleaning off the discs. And you know what's interesting is so far we haven't had any price increases because of tariffs, because all of the EU initially was going to be at a 10% tariff, but I haven't seen it yet. But I have more product coming. The product I just got wasn't subject to it, and we've been able to hold off a lot of the price increases. The one that's killing us is we ship everything by USPS, and we have flat rate shipping. So if you order under $50, then it's $6 to ship it, and this is US. And if it's over $50, then it's $11 to ship it. We ship priority. We do the same for international shipping, but international shipping is, it's horrible. I shipped a disc tower to, I want to say New Zealand, and it was like $70 to ship the tower.
Yeah, ouch. Yeah.
Yeah. And
it's expensive.
Yeah, and you know, it's interesting because I don't think that shipping should be money making. I want to break even on it. Slurry on an object being sanded, removed between grits. Yeah, I would just wipe it down. Because, you know, it's a slurry because you're either sanding wet wood or you're sanding with some kind of lubricant. You know, the idea that, you know, you're sanding it so there's going to be grit trapped in that slurry, I don't know how much of that would be wives' tale, although nobody's ever brought it up. Because what you're actually doing, well, with a quality product, what you're actually doing is you're breaking down that the grit grains. It's not really coming off the sandpaper, although I've never looked at that. That would be fun to look at under a microscope and see how much grit is actually in that slurry. Certainly before most of the stuff I sand nowadays, the for use stuff, I generally will sand to 400 or 600 and then blow it out with the air gun and use Mahoney's oil. I use a lot of Mahoney's oil just because it's easy, it looks good, and it's not expensive at all. And it's going to be food safe for, you know, bowls, because the bowls I do are just for fun or for empty bowls. And I'm a huge fan of empty bowls. And so, you know, for that kind of application, I don't really go much higher, but I want to blow it out because I was doing this red oak piece, and the end grain, as you're sanding it at you know, between the early wood and the late wood on the annular rings, it's like pores. It's easily visible even with the naked eye. So that's something that if it was filled up, it would just cake when you put a finish on it.
Right. I pulled up this page, Steve, because I wanted you to mention those custom pizza cutter holders. I got one of those. We use it every time we cut the pizza.
I don't make the pizza cutters anymore.
Right.
So the pizza cutter holder, though, is something I invented, and it's patent pending, which that's a whole nother story. And so I make the pizza cutter holders for the Niles / Craft Supplies, PSI, Rockler, and Woodcraft. And I think that is under pizza cutter holder on the left-hand side.
Yeah.
And those are available in black. The Niles one is sold exclusively through Carl Jamieson and Niles. I don't sell that one. He's doing a good enough job selling them that I don't need to get out and market it. And so, because I have 3D printing, I do some contract 3D printing as well. And, as long as the machines stay busy, that's fine. In fact, it's almost time for a refresh.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's a fantastic piece of kit.
So Todd put the link to that grit chart into the comments.
Yes. By the way, we do ship with Pirate Ship. And it ends up being kind of cut rate because you have to think about it of everything that you're using. How much is your box? How much is, the extra stuff that you add in there. There's always a sticker in there, but I don't consider that. So if something costs $10.28 to ship, but your box is, $1,
yeah.
So you're a little bit over. But the next guy who comes in, you just hope that he's at $9 instead or something. So it kind of balances out in the long run.
Yeah, we're the same way. Yeah, and shipping rates have gone up this fall, of course, as UPS or USPS has their annual rate increase. But I'll try and hold off till the new year and see if it settles back down.
Yeah, it usually peaks up again in Christmas time.
Yeah.
So it's like peak shipping rates, or it's like, wait, that's not fair.
Yeah. Good stuff. Steve, was there anything else you wanted to look at on the website or talk about? We've got, 5 minutes officially in your time slot, but we could...
So if you go back to sheet abrasives up there at the top, one of the things that most people don't know is that we carry sheet abrasives, but that little prep and weapon in the corner there is if you're doing any kind of block sanding, it is a phenomenal product.
I've had one of those for a couple decades.
And we carry the 4 colors. There is a purple one that I can't get. You can only get it on Amazon. I don't know what they even cost on Amazon. We've had those for a while. They don't go through much, or we don't sell a lot of them. So what I have is usually old stock. And the benefit to that is as prices increase, then, we're not bound by that until the next order. So,
yeah, when I made my cake platter demo, I pulled out my prep and weapon to flatten that surface for a nice flat cake plate.
Or when you're doing square edge stuff, beautiful for that.
Yeah,
great for that.
Yeah, I got it when I was doing a lot of flat work. It was great for flat work too.
And I got to say, Todd, thank you so much for being my wingman there.
You bet. That's what we're here for. Support each other. That's what the whole vendor showcase is about, right? So, absolutely. So, how do I get out of here now?
If you can't figure it out, none of us can.
Let me do that. Oh, not that one.
You got to buy something.
Yeah, there you go.
I had a guy leave his review was, I didn't buy anything, but it won't let me buy this until I do a review. I'm like, okay, I had no idea that was an issue, but
it's time for me now, I guess. And first thing I want to do is if we're going to have Bailey on there, Carter needs equal time. So there's another little animal picture for you all. And I talked about my IRDs and videos in the last segment there. And so what I'm going to talk about now is I'm going to do something. I'm going to make a bottle stopper is what I'm going to do. Bottle stoppers were a big deal for me. One of the first things I did to make a living in wood turning back in the late 90s and early 2000s. And for me, the bottle stopper was a way to practice making shapes. And what it is for me today is it's a way to have a canvas to test out finishes. So I'm going to make some bottle stoppers so I can test out some embellishment on a beaded form, like my beaded ginger jar and a ginger cat. It all makes sense. And I don't know if KK is on here, but she has 3 beautiful ginger cats. All right, so I'm going to talk about the tooling for the bottle stoppers here for a little bit. We have mandrels that can either go on the spindle thread or in the Morse taper. And I'm going to show the Morse taper one here because this one is, it has a complication. You really need to use a drawbar into the threads on here, because a Morse taper won't just stay in there without the tailstock up, without some pressure on it. Another little bit of a thing to mention here is a bottle stopper. And this is the kind I use, the Niles bottle stopper, stainless steel. And they have a diameter at their top. And all the Niles ones is the same diameter. Although, of course, the beer openers and other things might be different diameters, but the mandrels have a diameter here that matches the diameter of the stoppers. Oh, very convenient for shaping your wood, except if you happen to slip, get too close, and your tool touches that steel, it's going to be a problem. So I made a little piece of wood to go on there, and I made it real tight so it won't fall off. Now, if I slip, it's no problem. But what I'm aiming for is the bottle stopper wood is going to come up right to match the diameter. So if I'm going to be using this mandrel here, and I do need to use a drawbar, I'm going to put my drawbar here. It's a piece of threaded rod through the headstock and screw it on to those threads there. And then what I usually do is I'll screw it on enough that I think it needs, and then I'll push it in. And then what I'll do to get it to the right, to get it tightened up there, I want this cone to seat against the hand wheel. By the way, this is a Tod Raines drawbar. You can make your own drawbars too. But I'll turn the lathe on going slow just to make this not take forever. And when it gets up close to there, I just let go. And now I can tighten it up and I can jam nut those two together. And so now I've got my mandrel with a thread on it. The Niles mandrels have a little cut in them like a tap. So what you can do is have a piece of wood with just a hole in it and thread it right on there. But what I like to do is I love it that if I use one of these stainless inserts, or I guess the brass ones, I like the stainless ones, and I glue it in to the blank with Gorilla Glue, which expands in and will fill the gaps. What I love about that method of using an insert is that I can now have my different kinds of stoppers, or I can have my beer opener or whatever, and I can mix and match everything. Also, my customer could take off the stainless part and wash it in the sink without washing my old stopper. This, by the way, is a stopper from the same era as this picture. It's probably 25 years old. So just a little FYI there. I love having things I've made. It's got a cabochon on the top. Anyway, that wasn't really the subject for today. The subject for today is making a bottle stopper. I got my mandrel, I glued my insert into my blank, and I'm going to screw the blank on the mandrel. I've already rounded this over just to save time. And I'm going to make a bottle stopper. My plan originally was I want to make a bottle stopper with beads on it. And I'm talking beads like spindle beads, like the beaded ginger jar. And so I'm just truing it up here. But then I got all excited and I decided, nah, I want to make a snowman. So, I'm not really the snowman type, but here we are. We're going to have a snowman. And there's kind of my breakdown of the details. I'm going to have a bead, a big one, which is the snowman's body. And what's a beaded snowman anyway? That's kind of a little bit too weird, but we're going to do that. It's going to be a beaded snowman. So I'm just making a round bead body, and I'm going to make the head a little bit smaller, and it's going to also be a round bead, and we'll have a hat, which will be, should it be bigger than or smaller than the snowman's head? There's a good question. I'm going to say smaller than, so we got the graduated diameters there. And let's do a little better job with this round bead here. I'm going to need a spindle gouge to get into these somewhat tighter places here, just to crisp up this space between the beads, and to make the hat brim. Now this right here is a good case for the vortex tool, because it'll get right in there and actually can roll a bead right up next to a square shoulder, should that be what you want to do. What kind of wood am I using? This is honey locust. I didn't dwell on that because it's not really a big factor, except that one of the things I'm doing is I want to learn some ways to finish and embellish an open grained wood. Honey locust is something local, and you don't find it very often. But I thought I had a little tiny piece in the firewood pile, so I thought, yeah, let's do it. So a hat here, and I'm just using peeling cuts to get down to, we'll leave a little hat brim there, and we'll make some shape to the hat. Question is, am I gonna do beads on the hat or on anything but the snowman's body? What am I gonna do? Well, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a beaded body, and the rest of it, maybe a little bit of a radius on here. Oh, we'll call this a bead, okay? We got a bead here on the hat brim, and on the hat, the end of the hat, I want a little bit of a dome on the end. So I'd love to sand this, but I don't want to spend a bunch of time sanding. So I'm going to do beads. And actually, let's start our beads at the place where this is the highest point on the snowman where there might be a need for a bead. And I'm finding that actually beads do a little better at slightly slower speed. You can see the speed readout in the upper left corner. What I've found is that sometimes it'll tend to burn if I have a lot of speed. And I'm using this tool, fishtailing back and forth, to cut on one side of the bead and then the other side, working my way down to when the middle just contacts the center of the tool. The middle of the bead contacts the center of the tool, I'm done. Now, I didn't sand that round snowman body at all. And I'm getting away with not having to sand because I'm doing these beads. Oh yeah, well, if I really want a gallery quality piece, I'm going to end up having to sand all the beads. All right, so on the last bead at the bottom there, I'm not going to use the beading tool. I'm going to use some various negative rake scrapers that I can get in there with. I should have done that left-handed is what I should have done. And why didn't I? Because I am such a right-handed person that I just didn't. All right, here we are left-handed. This is working a little better, kind of. Not really. This one will get in there. I'm trying to make a half bead at the bottom by just faceting the corners. So I like that. We got a nice snowman. His head needs a bit of sanding. So I'm going to sand with this stuff called grit grip in between the beads. It's double-sided. You can't really see over there. Double-sided sandpaper, so I can roll it over. I can also use the Mirka products. Oh, I got a little glitch in there. And Steve gave us a rundown on the different kinds of Mirka sandpaper. And when I'm doing sanding between beads, I found that the Mirka Gold worked better than the Galaxy. Although most of the time, I like the Galaxy a whole lot better. Now this one might need more like 240 to start with on the snowman's head. But I know that if I want to use any kind of embellishing product, I'd better sand pretty fine, or the embellishing stuff is going to get all in the pores of all in the sanding scratches. And we're going to embellish sanding scratches instead of just wood. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take 600 and go across or with the grain here, because this will help a little bit. But what have I got here? I've got some different things to embellish with. I could use dye, and then on top of that, some of these embellishing waxes. I'm just going to put the embellishing wax on, and we're going to see what that looks like on this open grain wood on a beaded surface. I'm not going to make a snowman face on here today because I know I'm going to run out of time, but certainly could do that. I'm going to first put some gloves on. And then I'm going to get this Hampshire Sheen embellishing wax. I haven't used this stuff very much, but it's got some very interesting colors that some of the other things don't have. One thing that I really like is this Jimmy Clue's cream filler. That's something I've used before, and I really like it. So because I've used it before, I don't really so much need to experiment with it unless I want to know what it looks like on beads. But this wax here and on the beads, what am I going to do? It's a pink. I'll use a toothbrush to apply it, and I'll do it on the lathe because it allows me to rub the stuff in really nicely without, well, it just makes it easier to hold on to it is what I'm trying to say. Makes it easier to hold on to it. And this is a wax, embellishing wax it's called. It thins with mineral spirits and it tends to harden up in the container. So I could actually, if I needed it to be a little easier, I could put some mineral spirits on my toothbrush. All right, so we'll let that sit for a little bit there, and we'll put Jimmy Clue's on the hat. Just to see what happens when I take a kind of a pinkish wood and I put this, it's called pearl. It's kind of a whitish, metallic-ish, not really, I don't think it's wax. I don't know what it is. It smells like vanilla, which is very strange. And I'm going to rub off most of the excess of all of this. And I'm going to find out that rubbing off the excess in those beads doesn't work that great. So I can get a clean brush. These are like toothbrushes, but I got them on Amazon. Problem is, anymore I use an electric toothbrush, so I don't get all of these dead toothbrushes anymore. So this will get that wax out from in between the beads. I don't know what to say about his face, but here's another thing. Now I could finish this with a spray lacquer. It's wax, but you know, they say you can spray over it, and I actually have. But here's a fun thing to do. I know I'm running out of time here, but I just wanted to kind of have some fun today. Opal dust. What is opal dust? It's basically glitter in a medium. So it's perfect for snow, for a snowman. It's going to look kind of glittery, and I'm doing it on the whole thing, but I could maybe take the hat and make it black. I kind of thought I might do that, but I got too carried away here. Oh, let's put it back on the lathe for that part. Why not? Makes a lot more sense. Why did I even take it off? So this is just going to give him a glittery snow look for our snow Michelin Man person. And when this medium dries, I could take a magic marker and color his hat. But yeah, now I can't touch it until it's dry. But basically, that's what I have for you today. Okay, so any questions for me in here? Don't know. I guess I am just basically done. Thank you very much. This is the end now, isn't it? We're going to finalize the auction, have another raffle.
Great stuff, Cindy. Well done. cute little snowman. That's I got to do some more of that. I think Steve said earlier, I think yesterday or Thursday in our pre-meet, he suffered miserably at the hands of a snowman. So, so I think we all need practice on doing those beads. So I'll definitely have to do that. So, all right. So the next segment here is kind of an open discussion, question and answers. We'll do the final raffle drawing. We're gonna hype up the auction, so you see everybody putting up their auction pieces. Steve's got his bowls on the headstock there. Joe's got Lyle's and his, and mine and his. And Cindy's getting the three-way between myself, Cindy, and Emma up on screen. And then Lyle's got his Lyle's piece that he just finished turning, that little cherry burl that he's holding in his hand. With the cherry embellishment on top, and Mike's Veterans Bowl with the steel penny. So all these items are up for auction. Let me get the results up. Joe's and mine's tree box is $240. Steve's oak bowls $85. Lyle and Joe's leaf box $210. Lyle's cherry box is $75. Mike's veteran bowl $85. Cindy, Todd, Emma platter $300. Thank you so much. Let's get some more bids in there and see how it go. We got Richard doing more for my tree box. Very nice. Thank you, Richard. Bid now, bid often, and we shall have a great win for.
I've seen a question in the chat a couple of times this session. What does IRD mean? It stands for Interactive Remote Demonstration, and it means an online wood turning class of some kind.
Right. Yeah, Joe mentioned that he's doing those and in remote classes as well. I think most of us here do IRDs for clubs and individuals. So please look us up and do that. The technology we have behind us doing this today helps us provide club demos and other remote learning opportunities. So it's important that we kind of keep doing that, because I think it's a great medium to share like this, and our live streams and our sharing sessions and these vendor showcase events. It's a great way to reach out to you, get your comments, get your feedback, get you some special deals, and keep in touch.
So Todd, you were talking about having IRDs and the comment about that was the desirable effect of the pandemic was the proliferation of that, which is absolutely true. Yep. But it also helps us amortize the large technology investment required to do these.
Exactly. Yeah, it's Joe's and Mike are both on that learning curve that we took probably in 2020, 2021. So over 5-6 years, it's grown into what you see around me. So that is all this stuff. Computers, cameras, switchers, video monitors, all kinds of cables and stuff. It's like a second hobby to me almost, so I don't mind at all that I've got this stuff. I just like to use it to get in front of folks like you guys. So all right.
Let me put my 2 cents worth in on the IRDs. In the good old days, we had to travel all around the country and go to regional symposiums or club events and all of that stuff to teach people and show them techniques and skills that we're doing. But now we just walk across my driveway and I'm all over the world with Zoom. So we're able to share our skills and techniques with everybody a lot easier than we used to.
Plus, the clubs don't have to spend for our travel expenses and things like that.
Yep, travel, putting us up, all that stuff is all gone now.
And Martin's comment is right on the money. COVID enlarged our turning family, which is very true.
You betcha.
All over the world,
all over the world.
So here's another one we never answered. Or I answered it in the chat, but everybody else might want to chime in there.
Yeah, I think anything M2 and up in terms of quality would be fine. You may have to sharpen more with M2. I don't know about carbon steel. I've never used
Carbon steel doesn't hold an edge as long as M2 or M42.
Right.
And my
So
opinion is 10V or any powder metal holds an edge longer than any other conventional high speed.
Yeah.
So
And,
M4 and up, I believe, are all
Yes.
powder metal.
M4 is powder metal. ASP 2060 is a powder metal.
Yes.
10V, 15V. I don't know what else there is that we've ever seen, but there's probably others.
Yeah.
Here's another one. This was during Todd's demo.
So if you set it, how fast when using a negative rake scraper? I think it depends on the piece, the size, the diameter. And when I do online stuff like this, I don't go over 2,000 because of the noise, but you can go faster if the piece is small. Cindy is a speed demon. She loves speed.
Only because my pieces are very small.
They are, right. So if you're doing a very large piece like my Ichabana vase that was rather large, then I'm going a lot slower, maybe 1,000 RPM, maybe 1,500 at the most. So foot speed matters more than RPMs. I don't know if I said that right, but that's the idea.
And there's no really recipe like I tell you what speed to go. No, it's your individual project, the wood, the tool, your tool rest overhang, the size, all these factors that will determine it.
Your comfort level.
Yes, your comfort level. Absolutely
level,
that.
But there is a speed. You can't go too slow. I've seen people go slow and they're getting kind of real chippy and they're pushing hard. So your feed rate on your tool has to equal the speed of your turning. So if your speed rate, your turning lathe RPM is low, your feed rate and pressure on the wood better be very light and slow as well. So
it's hard for us to slow our brains down enough to keep up with turning at 200 RPM.
Exactly. So, let's see. There's a question.
Mary Lou had a question. Okay. There you go. There's a lot of different carbide qualities. In the good old days when they first made carbide is a powder, and they melt it together in a slurry that they can make tools out of. And the good old days, when I started using carbide, I did some research. I talked to the owner of a carbide manufacturing company out in Seattle, and he explained to me the difference in the carbide between the Hunter nanograin carbide and the older regular carbide that most of the other people use. Is a difference in the powder size that they start with. And that powder size, if you look at it in a microscope, is the difference between a beach ball and a BB. Okay, how sharp can we get a bunch of beach balls compared to how sharp can we get a bunch of BBs? So the nanograin carbide has the ability to have a much sharper, a much cleaner cut than the old carbide.
You can kind of equate that to sort of sandpaper grit. 80 grit is a very large chunk of garnet, and 1,000 grit is a very small chunk of garnet. So same idea with carbide particles, I guess. So what do they call it? Nanograde or nanograin size?
Nanograin
carbide?
is the Hunter carbides that we're all using now.
Yeah. And let's see, David told that M42 is a 20-year-old technology. Yeah, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it's probably even older than that, right? So they've been making steel for hundreds of years now. So there's all kinds of alloys. Joe has a question. If Joe is on here, yeah, Joe's there.
I'm here.
Joe, do you
I'm
put
here.
something over your airbrushing?
Do you mean like a lid on top?
No, I think they're talking about a finish, maybe.
Oh, yeah. Good question. Yeah, the answer is I almost always do. In this case, for these pieces here, I'm going to spray a satin lacquer over the top of the lids. Lyle, did you put finish on this yet?
No finish. That's just sanded to 600.
Okay, but Todd already finished this piece, so I'm not going to do anything with that.
Yep.
But I'll finish this on the inside and out, And the same with this lid. And then I'll finish this with satin lacquer.
Good stuff. Great question.
Yeah, I thought put the same finish on that you do the lid so that they don't look funny.
And I spray it on. I don't wipe it on.
That's fine.
No, that's for everybody.
Lou says the only problem with IRD is that we lost personal connection. It's somewhat true, definitely. I think,
No.
I don't know.
I would disagree with that, or to some extent anyway. I make a great deal of effort to keep the audience, and that's why we do IRDs, because it's live and you can talk to me. We're not writing in chat. So being able to talk with somebody and have a conversation on both sides of a subject is huge, and we can do that in an IRD where we can't do that in a format that uses just a chat. It's a little bit harder.
And
that's true. Go ahead, Cindy.
I can reach way more people than I ever could if we had to be in person together.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. So that's
big
true.
time.
The only thing we can't do is sit down and have a beer together, right? So
Yeah. Oh, we could have beer, remotely, but it's not quite.
I
the
had
same.
my popcorn. I don't know if anybody else had popcorn. I was watching Cindy eating popcorn. So
the other thing that we can't do is you don't get to, like, if I do an IRD or Lyle or Todd and they make something, and you never get to actually see the actual piece and what size it is. Like, I always make things and they're really small and everybody says, oh, I thought that was so much bigger when we saw it on the screen. And now, nobody gets to really ever see it in person.
Well, and the other thing is you'll never get this view at an in-person demo, right?
Right.
You'll never see this close-up view of the inside of a vessel unless there's monitors or something like that. So the views we can give you during the demo, I think, are great. And I think that's what clubs are latching onto, is using cameras for their own demos, so they have big monitors. People can see everything of what's going on. So great questions. Let's see. Exactly, Todd. Okay, Lou, you're buying me a beer next time we meet. All right. Let's see. David's got a comment. I like Zoom better than StreamYard since we can see each other and walk and talk about pecking on the keyboard. Yeah, that's true. There we go. All right. So I'm going to change this to a 5-minute countdown, and that'll be our 5 minutes to get your last bids in. There we go.
Okay. Last bids.
So you got the 4 minutes and 53 seconds left, and once that counts down, we'll close the bidding. So, and then we'll announce the winners. And again, this is all going to Joe, San Diego Humane Society. You want to say anything else about that?
I've been very impressed by their organization and how they work with the community, and trying to rescue a lot of animals from around the country, and they even pull some in from Mexico, where there's bad conditions sometimes, like in the Tijuana area and things. So just a really outstanding organization, and
perfect.
Happy to support them.
Does Baxter have a lot of friends over there?
He has friends everywhere.
Yeah, he's such a great dog. Yeah,
when I take him to doggy daycare, I always say he's going to go hang out with 40 of his favorite friends.
Yeah. I was trying to get rid of that. There we go. Yeah, that's he's a fabulous dog. When he came out to visit, he was a perfect
tree
dog.
box 300, platter 360.
Is somebody
I'm trying to
updating
keep
that
up
in the
with
document? Oh, good. Thank you, Cindy.
I'm trying to keep up with him. I've been keeping up with him. Let's see. Oh, and Mike is doing it now. Mike, you want to just keep doing it? Sure. Okay.
So,
and we've got 2 bids for 300 on the tree box, and Mary Alice was first, actually. So
yeah, so Mary Lou, you've got a bid.
$5 increments is all you got to do. The princess, the goddess, and the queen, and we're all here. Yay.
Yep. All right.
Okay. Okay, so let me put up the
Yeah,
current
go ahead and put them up and let's see where
thing
we're at.
here. And we got 2 minutes
Oh.
and a half.
Mary Lou just put 320 on the tree box.
Okay, tree box. Well, it was 325.
Oh.
Tree box. Or did you mean leaf
Well, she
box?
says,
The tree
Uh,
box was 3.
well, Mary
Tree
Lou's
box.
is 320 on the tree box. That's
The tree
Joe and
box
I.
is 325 already.
Now it's
Okay,
400.
so let's find out where that is.
Now it's 400. Oh, good. Well, I'll get rid of any discrepancy there. Thank you very
Yeah.
much, Mary Alice.
How much is the platter? 360. Okay.
360. Oh, sorry,
Yeah,
Mike.
so-
I was getting in there and doing it.
So Richard, this is too low. You got to beat 360 on the platter.
And Mary Lou on the tree box. No, the one that I think we're getting confused about things here.
This is the tree box.
Todd
that
and
Todd
Joe
and
and
I
Tree
did
are the
together.
same.
There's a tree box and a
we're
leaf
ca-
box.
And a leaf.
Yes.
We're calling the one that Lyle and I did the leaf box.
Open the lid on the tree box. You'll
And
see
the
why
tree
it's
box
the tree
has
box.
a tree inside.
Okay, so the tree box is the Todd Joe, and
Yep.
and Mary Lou has.
short.
Thank you very
shorter-
much, Mary Lou.
Yeah.
350 on the Todd.
Nice. Thank
Wait
you.
a
Okay,
minute,
so
what was
what was
400 then?
Mary
Todd,
Alice.
Todd and
Joe.
Joe. That's the tree box.
That's the tree box.
That's the tree box.
So
Yeah.
this is the current previous highest bid on the tree box.
Yeah. So Mary Lou, you got to go higher, unfortunately.
So this looks like what we've got. Only tree box is now 400. Let me do this again. We got 20 seconds. Yipes.
Oh,
500.
Mary Alice, you're outbidding yourself, Mary Alice.
Yeah, Mary Alice, I think you were the 400. But
Yeah.
hey,
500's good.
Charity.
500 is
We'll take
better.
it.
good for,
Thank you.
animals. Yeah.
We're down to 5 seconds. And
Lou says reset the
Oh.
timer. Are we giving you a grace period?
why? Okay, I think we're closed out, right?
Very cool.
Are we closing them out now?
Yeah, I think so.
It's a done
Let's
deal.
get rid of that. Okay, very good, very good.
We thank
Okay.
everybody for all the great bids and the money going to charity. So
Thank you
so
guys
much.
very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. I think that put us well over $1,000 for the Humane Society. That's wonderful.
Great. Yeah.
$1,365. That's what I
Nice.
told up to.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone.
So if you had fun with this, make sure to tell all your wood turning friends so we can make the spring vendor showcase even better and bigger.
That's a nice sentiment, Mary Lou. Thank you for all adding to your joy in returning. Yeah, definitely is
Thank
fun.
you, all of you guys, for making this community so great.
I gotta run.
So this will come
Oh.
out. We haven't decided yet on what date, but as Mike said, we'll have a spring vendor showcase sometime.
No Christmas
April-ish,
showcase.
maybe?
No, this was the Christmas.
This was the
showcase,
Christmas
Scott.
showcase. Yeah.
This was the Christmas, yeah. Any last questions for us other than having another one of these so soon? We'd be happy to answer them. If not now, email any one of us after the fact on questions about wood turning or the tools we carry or a vendor showcase or the events we do.
Always.
We'd love to hear from you.
Mhm.
All right.
Always, all of us are always glad to help any way we can. If you have any issues, just give us a call.